This diaper-wearing kid was born at the exact moment the most powerful ancient god was reincarnated. But instead of being an overpowered badass from day one, he is in his 20s now and absolutely nothing has happened. The only weird thing is that ever since he can remember, Shaka kept dreaming of an epic war between the gods, so incredibly real that it felt like it was happening right in front of him. Just like any other day, Shaka suddenly jolted awake from that dream, gasping as he wiped the sweat dripping down his face. Maybe it is his body's weird biological clock keeping him from oversleeping, though to be fair, he always wakes up just before 11 in the morning. Hurriedly grabbing his shoes, Shaka rushes out the door for work. He lives in Hongtho Bay, in City S. After getting hit by a massive millennial solar storm, the place made a miraculously fast recovery, transforming into a nation-renowned hub for advanced science and tech. And with summer vacation in full swing, it is the absolute best time for Shaka to grind and make some money. But here he is, wearing a suffocatingly thick egg roll costume in boiling hot weather, frantically waving a sign to attract customers. "Hey there, beautiful ladies, come try our new egg rolls, only $12 a portion, a total steal." Shaka's luck actually seems decent today, since he manages to catch a customer's eye. Too bad everyone is into boba and mochi these days. No one eats egg rolls for fun anymore. The only reason a crowd is surrounding Shaka is because of his ridiculous costume. They are all filming him just to get views on TikTok. Feeling the judging glares from the passers-by, Shaka deeply regrets taking this job. Right now, all he needs is just one word of encouragement to keep going. Suddenly, a little kid walks by, pointing at him in awe. "Mom, look at that guy, he is so cool." But just as Shaka's heart starts to melt, the kid smirks and adds, "Is he a fat superhero? When I grow up, I am definitely not going to be fat like him." Shaka wants nothing more than to rip off this costume and challenge the brat to a fight, but his boss's booming voice suddenly makes him freeze. "What's with that attitude towards our customers, huh?" the boss barks, instantly shutting Shaka up. To make matters worse, the boss keeps chewing him out for failing to bring in a single customer all morning. He drags Shaka inside, throws a small wad of cash at him for his past few days of work, and fires him on the spot. Shaka tries desperately to reason with him. "Hey, look at me. I have got killer looks, long legs, and a booming voice. Why are you firing me?" That only pisses the boss off more. He originally thought Shaka's face might actually save his business, but turns out he is not that hot. 3 days of trial and you only brought in one freeloader. Take your cash and get the hell out. With nothing left to say, Shaka can only pack up his things and leave dejectedly. Oh well, if this job doesn't work out, he will just find another. Once he strips off that sweaty, smelly costume, he feels light as a feather. Despite getting fired, his spirits remain high. Besides, getting off early means he can fully focus on his big match tonight. That night, Shaka stocks up on energy drinks, prepares to sweat his life away, and finally makes it to the finals of this absolute trash game. "Not bad, kid, but I didn't crawl my way to the top just to lose now. There is nowhere left for you to hide." Shaka corners his opponent and takes him down in a split second. He slams the desk in pure ecstasy. Riding the ultimate high, Shaka realizes a whole month of grinding finally paid off with a championship title. Turns out even trash games take some real effort. Suddenly, the guy he just defeated sends him a cryptic message: "Stay alive. See you on the battlefield." Shaka frowns, utterly baffled. Is this guy seriously so salty that he is resorting to weird threats? Meanwhile, in another part of City S, a mysterious young man rests his chin on his hand, staring amusedly at his monitor. "Damn, this kid has still got moves. I am really looking forward to what you can do, Shaka." Shaka types out a sarcastic reply, but deletes it. He is way too tired to feed some internet troll. All he wants now is to shower and pass out. Maybe it is the championship high, but Shaka doesn't have any nightmares tonight. Instead, he dreams of being pampered by 4 gorgeous girls at once. But just as things are getting good, a loud voice suddenly shatters his fantasy. "Open up. Delivery." Shaka squint eyes at his clock. Seeing it is only 4 in the morning, he lets out a quiet curse. I am coming. What kind of delivery service is this dedicated?" Standing at the door is a delivery guy with long hair covering half his face, flashing a creepy smile of pearly white teeth that instantly sends a shiver down Shaka's spine. Before Shaka can even say anything, the guy hands over the package and turns to leave, tossing a creepy warning over his shoulder. "Take good care of it, Shaka." Standing there completely dazed, Shaka slowly walks back inside. He opens the packaging to find an elegantly crafted wooden box covered in intricate patterns. He takes a deep breath, his hands shaking. Holy crap, could this be the championship prize from the game company? They did mention in the event details that the grand prize would be some kind of special gaming gear. The global limit is hands down the most powerful weapon in the world right now. Tiksha excitedly tore open the box, eager to witness the beauty of the most overpowered weapon on Earth. But the light in his eyes instantly died the moment he saw the dull blade in his hand. Tiksha held up the sword and cursed. The company literally dragged him out of bed at 4 in the morning, only to send him a piece of junk that couldn't even slice a tomato. Meanwhile, the delivery guy called his boss to report that the mission was accomplished. Miss Marie, the blade has been delivered. He didn't suspect a thing. Tiksha tossed the dull blade back into the box and went back to bed, but suddenly, his phone buzzed again. It was that overly enthusiastic broker again. The moment he picked up, a cheesy male voice oozed through the speaker. "My darling, little Titch. I am your daddy." Tiksha unleashed all his frustration on the broker for hooking him up with such a trash job. He had to wear an outfit that looked like literal garbage every single day. The broker on the other end calmly asked, "Wait, did you get fired again? Well, at least you lasted longer than last time." With that, he sent Tiksha a new job listing in Nambak Thakchau. Hearing those 4 words, Tichka's eyes lit up, and he stopped cursing immediately. Nambak Thakchau was a state-of-the-art tech zone built right after the solar storm of the century. Every single cutting-edge tech company in the world had a headquarters there. Tiksha hopped onto a high-speed submarine train, heading straight to the working-class paradise, wondering what kind of capitalist nightmare he would have to endure this time. Just then, a little kid cheered excitedly as the submarine passed through an underwater tunnel. "Once we get through here, we'll be in Nambak Thakchau." Tiksha blankly looked around, his eyes locking onto a girl with long hair and a short skirt, who was pressed flat against the glass window. Wow, it's so beautiful. The underwater tunnel definitely lives up to the hype. The kid was still incredibly curious about the waters outside, especially when his dad mentioned that this wasn't actually the deep ocean. The girl turned to them and explained, "The real ocean floor is actually pitch black and freezing cold. It's not pretty at all." Tichka's face went pale. The real ocean floor? Had she actually been down there? Then, out of nowhere, their eyes met. At that moment, only 2 words flashed through Tichka's mind. "Damn, she's gorgeous." Her blushing, innocent face made Tichka feel like he had just been struck by 1,000 of Cupid's arrows. And when she waved at him, Cupid ditched the arrows and upgraded to an assault rifle. But just then, the train arrived at Bikhai Station, and she got off. Tichka didn't want to miss his chance, but he was no match for the dozens of other guys who were also totally head over heels for her. And just like that, Tichka lost his muse, leaving him all alone again. Over at the Platinum Building, a receptionist was puffing on a cigarette while playing online mahjong. "Sweet, I got a killer hand. No way I'm losing this time." Right at that moment, Tichka tapped on the desk and asked, "Is Golden Ka here?" Which completely ticked her off. "Damn it, can't you see I was about to win? That guy is in the very last room down the hall." As Tichka walked away, she let out a wild shriek, probably because she managed to salvage her game. He judged the receptionist silently as he walked. Suddenly, a nearby door flew open, and a body came flying out. Tichka looked over and saw a massive, muscular figure stepping out of the room. "My patience has limits. I gave you a chance, and you threw it back in my face." The skinny guy on the floor begged for mercy. Suddenly, a hand grabbed Tiksha's shoulder, and a voice that gave him goosebumps spoke. "Little Tik, you're finally here." He was Daikao Dan, the manager of Kim Kwang Brokerage Services. Daikao Dan led Tichka into a room where other working-class guys were gathered. There were 5 people in the room, and every single one of them looked incredibly tense. A sketchy guy with hair covering his face kept staring at Tichka, making him gulp nervously, silently signaling that he wasn't an easy meal. Daikao Dan grabbed some documents and handed them out, announcing that this was a massive contract for all of them. After reading the files, 2 guys' eyes lit up in awe. Skynet Corporation? Is this for real? This corporation was one of the 3 largest medical conglomerates in the world, holding absolute power over the entire internet technology sector. But Tichka couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Daikao Dan finally gave them the payout after taking his cut, which was exactly 50,000. "Are you kidding me? Why don't you just rob a bank instead?" Tiksha totally agreed with those 2. The guy might be named Daikao, but he had the heart of a hungry tiger. Tichka thought back over everything that had just happened. This place was literally a den of thieves. Just then, a long-haired guy struck up a conversation with him. "Hey, They're basically extorting us, right, Tichka? Hearing someone agree with him brought some peace of mind, but even so, they had no choice but to hand over the money. Meanwhile, a white-haired guy in the room was recalling the mission his boss had assigned him. He was the one secretly spying on Tichka, but right now, all he saw was a totally ordinary worker. But someone handpicked by Long Tu for surveillance couldn't possibly be ordinary. That only made him more curious to see what Thicksaw would do once he got dragged into this game. So, he kicked things off by standing up and shouting, "Let's get out of here. I don't need this opportunity anymore." Sure enough, Daikao wasn't about to let them leave. A massive brute blocked the exit, shouting that it would cost 40 yuan per person to leave. Sitting back, Daikao smugly warned them not to try playing smart. The white-haired guy just chuckled. Looks like the difficulty level just went up. Seeing his smirk, a bald thug grabbed him by the collar, ready to throw hands. But the white-haired guy quickly pulled out his card to pay. Thick-CA could only stand there, not daring to make a move, waiting for the right moment. He quietly followed the crowd out to the reception desk. Just then, another thug showed up and started flirting with the girl at the door. "Is Anhwa here?" "You bet! Anhwa missed you," Daikao said as he led his crew right behind Thicka. One look at this Anhwa guy, and you could tell he was absolute trouble. Anhwa asked Daikao how business was going, bragging about how hard it was to catch a little hottie to inspect. Right then, a loud noise from upstairs startled everyone. A mob was chasing a girl. That familiar figure triggered a memory for Thicksa. Suddenly, she tripped and flew straight toward him before he could even react. Both of them crashed to the ground, with her face landing right against his crotch. A few of her buttons had popped open, and her face flushed bright red. "I'm so sorry." "Wait, why are you here too?" Before they could even process what was happening, a rough hand grabbed the girl's ponytail and yanked her backward. A gang of sketchy, drug-addled thugs began tossing her around like a rag doll. "My bad, Anhwa. This little brat is pretty crafty." Thikka's blood boiled as he yelled at them to let her go. Daikao immediately warned him, "Don't go playing the hero. The place upstairs is a legitimate ad agency, so keep your nose out of it." As he spoke, his eyes were glued to her chest, which was on the verge of being completely exposed. Thicksa got madder by the second. His dream girl was about to be ruined, so how could he possibly just sit back and watch? Catching them off guard, Thicksa snatched the walkie-talkie from Daikao's hand and slammed it hard into a blonde thug's face, knocking his eyes back as he went flying and tumbling backward. Daikao's eyes widened in surprise. Whoa, this kid looked like a scammer, but he's actually got some balls. The moment after making that big move, Thicksa instantly regretted it, grabbed the girl's hand, and bolted. Anhwa's face had been dark this whole time, and he finally roared, "You useless idiots, go after them." The bald guy ordered the scammed victims to stay put and not move an inch. The chubby guy obediently complied. The white-haired youth didn't expect Thicksa to have so much style, silently rooting for him before turning around to slip away. A pack of thugs chased after Thika, screaming that they were going to skin him alive. Realizing things were turning bad, Thicksa signaled the girl to run ahead. He shoved a pile of junk directly into the path of the pursuers, who couldn't brake in time, and got buried under the clutter. Meanwhile, Thicksa smirked and kept running. But suddenly, the girl ground to a halt, leaving Thickcha completely bewildered. Unbelievably, they had run in a giant circle and ended up right back where they started in this maze. Daikao smirked and urged Thickcha to give up. "I actually like your guts, kid. Come back, and I'll give you a 50% discount. How about that?" "Save your breath, it's not happening," Thickcha yelled back defiantly. Incensed, Anhwa lost his temper and immediately ordered his giant henchman to jump him. The girl hid behind Thickcha's back in terror. Just then, he spotted the blonde thug whose face he had swollen earlier, and a plan flashed through his mind. Thickca grabbed her hand and dashed in a different direction, dodging the main group of thugs as he headed straight toward the blonde guy. Horrified, the guy clutched his face and cried, "No way, why are you coming at me again?" Just as the guy was about to wet his pants from fear, Thicksa swept past him like a gust of wind, casually tossing their card reader back to them. Anhwa stormed over, grabbing the blonde guy by the collar and reaming him out. "Damn it, Xiaofei! What the hell are you doing? Don't you dare come back if you don't catch them." Finally, Thickcha managed to escape that maze of a building, but the thugs were still hot on their heels. The girl asked shyly, "How much longer do we have to hide here?" Thickcha chuckled, saying that since the thugs were still nearby, they couldn't leave just yet. but standing in such a tight alleyway with a girl whose shirt barely covered her chest was starting to make Thika feel incredibly hot. Who? Me? It was the right thing to do. Looks like they've finally gone. At long last, night fell. Night transformed Nam Bak Thach Chao into an even busier place. As Thika strolled alongside his dream girl, she playfully turned to look at him. Booping Shijia's reddening nose, she says, "Thank you so much for today." It stung Shijia like an ant bite, but even though he brought it on himself, he couldn't help but smile. Finally, the big moment arrives. She introduces herself as Daozi. Shijia shares his name too, and just like that, they're officially acquainted. The chilly air in the dark alley makes Daozi sneeze. Shijia quickly hands her his jacket to keep the cold wind off her. Honestly, if I were the author, I'd have them heading straight to a motel right about now. Running out of things to say, Shijia casually asks if those thugs did anything to her. Looking down at her exposed outfit, she reflexively pats Shijia's cheek and explains that her dress was just torn while she was escaping. Daozi had snuck out of her house to find a job, but she ended up getting scammed. That shady ad agency tried to force her into doing some spicy modeling. Thinking fast, Daozi smashed their equipment and managed to knock out the guard. But as she was running away, she tripped and fell right into Shijia. As she recalls this, her eyes light up, and she says, "I'm so lucky I ran into you." Shijia blushes hard, feeling like he's finally become a hero to his dream girl. She quickly wrote her phone number on the back of Shijia's hand with her lipstick, then ran off. Shijia stared at the writing on his hand, feeling a sudden jolt of electricity run through his heart. Was his single life finally about to end? Meanwhile, at Yinghwa's mugging crew's hideout, the whole gang was taking a brutal beating for failing to catch Shijia and Daozi. Furious, he kicked Xiaofei right in the groin, making the other guys instinctively cover themselves. "You couldn't even keep an eye on 2 kids. What the hell am I feeding you guys for?" To calm Yinghua down, Dagu spoke up. "Boss, I brought them in. It's my fault. I've got his address right here." Yinghua immediately ordered Dagu to track Shijia down, while he dialed someone's number, gesturing for the rest of the gang to keep dead quiet. "Hello, Master Huo?" At the mention of Master Huo's name, the entire gang gasped and covered their mouths. He was the boss of the Green Wolf Gang, a guy who dripped style and authority. What happened now? Terrified, Yinghua stammered out Shijia's situation. Sir, some punk is breaking the rules on our turf. He needs to be taught a serious lesson." The sound of dripping water woke Shijia up. He opened his eyes in confusion, finding himself in the middle of a bizarre, mystical space. A strange voice echoed through the air. "Shijia, I've finally found you." Shijia bolted upright, looking around to see who it was. But when he looked down at the water, his face froze in sheer shock. His own shadow had somehow grown massive and twisted into a bizarre shape. Shijia fell backward in terror, stammering, "Crap, not that demon god again." The shadow didn't answer, only letting out a bone-chilling, maniacal laugh. Shijia splashed at the water to force it to show its true form, but a sudden, sharp pain flared in his hand. Suddenly, a whirlpool formed around Shijia, and the water droplets morphed into hands of all sizes, grabbing him so tightly he couldn't even move. Finally, Shijia woke up in his bed, gasping for air. This nightmare felt way too real compared to his previous ones. He stared at his palm in utter horror as it was actually bleeding, just like in his dream. Shijia glanced at the black blade beside him. He figured he must have sleepwalked and grabbed it, but he distinctly remembered leaving it in the living room. The more he thought about it, the more bizarre and confusing everything became. Deciding to shrug it off, Shijia headed to the bathroom. But after his shower, he noticed some writing on the back of his hand, with 1 or 2 of the digits smudged. Oh crap, that was Daozi's phone number. Filled with absolute regret, Shijia slumped onto the couch. No wonder the universe had kept him single for so damn long. But a text from the game company instantly sent Thick Ka's mood through the roof. They invited him to the Kwanghu building in South Bak Thach Chao to attend the award ceremony. The venue was absolutely stunning and luxurious, packed to the brim with people. Yet, there were still 2 girls who recognized Thick Ka and respectfully invited him to the dressing room to change. As soon as he heard them mention the scepter, Thick Chi excitedly dashed off. The 2 girls looked at each other and sighed in disappointment. Seriously, if it weren't for his winner's sash, they wouldn't have even recognized the champion. After all, he just had a totally average face. Panting heavily, Thick Ka finally reached the dressing room, where a young man pointed him toward the scepter. He took a deep breath and bellowed, "I'm the one who claimed your championship this year. It's me." Thick Ka. The organizers then called all the award winners to get ready backstage. Thick Chie happily scurried along carrying the heavy scepter, but since he was in a rush and the thing was so heavy, he ended up face-planting hard onto the floor. A voice both strange and familiar rang out, greeting me with such a grand bow right off the bat? To think I actually lost to a guy like you, how embarrassing. Thick Chie recognized him as the white-haired guy from the bandits' hideout back then and remembered his warning to stay alive. Shijia couldn't be bothered with them. At the awards ceremony, the host, Bao Bao, hyped up the crowd as he introduced the top 3 players in the annual esports rankings. The champion was Shijia, the runner-up was Ruman, and in third place was NPC. Bao Bao turned to ask Shijia for his thoughts, but Shijia was only wondering how much longer he had to hold on to this stupid scepter. Bao Bao immediately moved on, switching to introduce a special guest representing the Kongwang group, Lady Manhwa. Just then, Taozi stepped out, looking stunning in a pure white dress. She walked up to Shijia, and seeing him about to call out her name, she quickly signaled him to keep it as their little secret. Please keep this a secret for me, okay? Shijia blushed, completely speechless, and could only watch as Taozi walked up to deliver her speech. She grabbed the mic, cleared her throat, said a few standard words, and then raised her voice to completely electrify the room. On behalf of the Kongwang Group, I am proud to announce that next year we will invest 100 billion to create a global esports ecosystem. Staring at the brilliant Taozi on stage, Shijia felt more useless than ever. In the end, he was just a loser holding onto a piece of scrap metal she threw his way. They lived in completely different worlds. Those blurred red lipstick marks didn't even matter anymore. Meanwhile, Ruiman suddenly received a new assignment. Instead of keeping an eye on Shijia, he was tasked with capturing a wanted criminal in the city. A smirk played on his lips as he put on his signature glasses, suited up in his tight gear, and slicked back his hair, looking incredibly sharp. Shijia, I'm going to be gone for a while. You'd better take good care of yourself. That night, Shijia wandered on his way back home, never expecting an award ceremony to drag on for so long. At least he got to see his goddess Taozi, who was still keeping his jacket. Just thinking about it made Shijia giddy, but he immediately brushed the thought aside and went back to his exhausted slumping. Suddenly, he bumped into something both hard and soft. Looking up, he was shocked to find himself surrounded by a group of thugs. Shijia looked like a total hobo right now. Don't tell him these guys are actually robbing hobos? A blonde punk barked, "Stand up straight. Our boss is looking for you." Shijia was totally confused, trying to figure out which mob boss he had pissed off. A dark-haired guy wearing thick chains and slicked with grease stepped forward. "You're Shijia, right?" Shijia immediately waved his hands in denial. Only an idiot would admit it right now. He needed to run while he still could. Suddenly, Yinghua's voice rang out as he leaped forward in a rage to point him out. "You ruined my plans. Even if you turned to ash, I'd still recognize you." Now Shijia knew exactly why he was surrounded. He told himself he couldn't let his guard down. These guys had a completely different vibe compared to the street punks from before. One thug swung an iron pipe, sending Shijia flying. Some with pipes, others with rocks. They crowded around and started stomping on him. Shijia could only curl up and grit his teeth through the pain. Against so many of them, he didn't have the strength to fight back. Shijia had actually thought today was his lucky day he won the championship and even got to see Taozi again. But in the end, he was getting jumped in a dark alley. Seeing Shijia writhing on the ground, one of the thugs pulled out a dagger, ready to carve him up. Right then, the black blade flew out of nowhere, slicing clean through the thug's raised arm. The entire gang stared in utter disbelief, as if they had just seen a ghost. And there stood Shijia, slowly rising to his feet, gripping the black blade in his hand. The moment they saw his glowing, bloodthirsty red eyes, they realized they had messed with the wrong guy. Cold sweat broke out on the boss, Li Dan. He knew the blade flying over to save Shijia on its own could only mean one thing. Shijia was also an Esper, just like their leader, Huojia. But the idiot underlings still didn't sense the danger, charging forward anyway, only for Shijia to send every single one of them to their graves with a single slash. Shijia spun the blade 360 degrees before throwing it like a boomerang. He didn't even blink as blood splattered everywhere. When a few terrified survivors tried to flee, Shijia instantly cut off their escape. Their blood-curdling screams echoed through the narrow alley. Soon, only Yinghua was left. He trembled violently, unable to comprehend how Shijia had suddenly become such a cold-blooded monster. Right at that moment, something surged up behind him. Li Dan, having just popped his enhancement drugs, charged forward like a wild bull, his face flushed tomato red. With a single punch, he unleashed a massive shockwave that forced Shijia back. Yinghua called out Li Dan's name, but when he spotted the organization's adrenaline booster bottle scattered on the ground, he immediately understood the situation. Lao Zhu raised his muscular arm in triumph, only to notice that his wrist had somehow been sliced and was already dripping with blood. But Shijia just looked up at Lao Zhu with complete disdain, which only excited him more. Haha, bring it on. I'll teach you a lesson. 5 minutes ago, before things got completely out of hand, Lao Zhu had downed a handful of the organization's pills. Within seconds, his body felt like it was being ripped apart and rebuilt, leaving only a few pills rattling at the bottom of the bottle. It seemed Lao Zhu had completely thrown away his life. He flexed his muscles so hard that his chains snapped and his clothes ripped to shreds as he charged at Shijia like a raging bull. Old Zhu's devastating punch looks like it could crush a person's internal organs into pure mush, but Sakya effortlessly dodges it. Testing his opponent as he strikes, he sneers, "Aren't you supposed to be an Esper? Let's see what you've actually got, kid." Old Zhu keeps throwing strikes, and despite his bulky build, his speed is incredibly fast. But Sakya's dodging speed is beyond human. All you can see is a blur passing by, sending dirt and rocks flying everywhere. Old Zhu is highly confident. Having dominated the scene for so many years, he has definitely faced every type of Esper, and to him, the average ones aren't even worth as much as ants. Having played around with Old Zhu long enough, Sakya lands a light punch right in his gut, making Old Zhu instantly spit out saliva. He bites his lip and holds his breath, holding back an excruciating pain that feels like his guts are tearing out, his head spinning violently. This kid is actually pretty interesting, huh? The next second, he leaps high into the air with all his might, clasping his hands together for a finishing blow. When Old Zhu crashes down, the ground erupts as if it was hit by an atomic bomb. Just as Sakya flies out of the smoke, Old Zhu's massive hand catches him. Striking a pose like a professional discus thrower, Old Zhu roars, "How could I ever lose to a brat like you?" With a violent swing of his arm, Old Zhu sends Sakya flying. Watching these monsters clash, Yinghua's jaw completely drops. This drug is seriously potent. Feeling an absolute rush of adrenaline, Old Zhu charges forward, repeatedly pounding the wall Sakya was thrown into. After a while, he finally stops. Yinghua, hiding in the distance, anxiously waits for the outcome. But suddenly, Old Zhu's face contorts as if he just saw a ghost. Through the thick cloud of dust, Sakya is blocking his massive punch with just one hand, leaving Old Zhu completely frozen. Suddenly, Sakya lets go, only to grab and twist Old Zhu's arm backward, making him squeal like a dying pig. With just that single move, Old Zhu feels like his arm has completely snapped, collapsing helplessly onto the ground. Sakya casually strikes a pose before launching his heel right into Old Zhu's chin, sending him flying upward. At this point, only one word flashes through Old Zhu's mind. Monster. Sakya was basically just playing with him like a clown. And to think he actually thought he could stand on equal footing with him. Sakya circles behind him, summoning a black blade to his arm to finish him off. But right at that moment, a gunshot rings out. Yinghua tremblingly pulls the trigger a few times into Sakya's back, screaming, "Die, you monster!" He collapses to the ground, thinking he's finally safe. But Sakya slowly stands right back up, turning to glare at him with glowing red eyes. For the first time in his life, Yinghua feels absolute terror to his very core. Crawling backward like a dog, his voice trembles uncontrollably. Hey, man, let's just talk this out. There's no need to get violent." With that, he turns and runs for his life, not daring to look back even once. At this point, Sakya drops the black blade and lets out a heavy sigh, leaning against the wall in pain. Damn it. This body is way too weak. Come on out. A pair of red clogs steps out of the darkness as a flirtatious voice says, "Since the omen of the apocalypse, I have been searching for you. So you're the one who woke me up early, Mary?" Mary's eyes light up with devotion as she bows. "I have been eagerly awaiting your return, my master, Lord Lucifer." Lucifer is furious, telling her to stop getting ahead of herself. Facing his wrath, Mary is visibly terrified. Lucifer tiredly covers his face. "It is not time for this body yet. Look, is this the result you wanted?" According to Lucifer, Sakya cannot withstand his power yet. If Mary forces the god-slaying blade onto him, it will only end up killing him. And if that happens, even Lucifer will fade away. Mary is devastated, unable to comprehend what she did wrong. But Lucifer simply warns her to stay away from Sakya. He will help him awaken quickly, but whether the boy can handle the power is still up in the air. After saying that, Lucifer passes out, causing Mary to panic. She deeply regrets being so reckless and putting him in danger. Don't worry, Lord Lucifer. Before he truly awakens, I will protect him from the shadows. I won't let anyone discover him. With a simple snap of her fingers, Mary makes everything in front of her vanish, as if it had never existed. Before disintegrating, Old Zu terrifiedly mutters, "The demon blade monster." As night falls on Sakya's house, his injured body makes him groan in pain. At the same time, Lucifer fumes, "This mortal body is absolute trash. Wake up already." In an instant, a flash of light strikes, sending his soul flying out of his body. With a solemn look in his eyes, he wonders what is going on. Sakya stands in the middle of a vast, empty space, touching his body. My wounds are gone. Is this another dream? Suddenly, a blade flies toward his back out of nowhere. This is your subconscious mind. Thick, dark energy begins to surround the area, expanding into the shape of a massive specter with glowing red eyes. Since you passed out, I had no choice but to summon you here, the entity says, scaring Sakya half to death. A demon blade? A demon god? This has got to be a dream. Wake up, Sakya, wake up. But the dark energy furiously lunges right at him. What is a dream, and what is real? All of a sudden, it punches the ground, sending a blinding flash of light everywhere. Are these the ones? Shijiya asks, pointing at the glass pane in front of him. Wait. Are these projection screens? He leans in closer to get a better look. Whoa, Anki's voice echoes once again. And what about these? A scene of the world begins to blur out. Staring at the screen, he freezes in shock. Anchi says in a flat tone, "The vast world is constantly changing. What you call reality can shift at any moment. The foundation of the universe, its eyes glow even redder, as if to emphasize, is elements." The ground beneath his feet suddenly splits open. Panicked, he plummets straight down, only to halt just as he is about to hit another surface. I stopped. Blinded by the brilliant light flashing before his eyes, he can only gasp. Huh? What is this? Several beams of colored light swirl above his head as Anki's voice continues. Everything in existence is made of elements. A stream of water spirals around him. The water element represents the binding of matter, symbolizing moisture and containment. Next, a flame surges toward him. The fire element represents raw energy and passion, creating heat and cold. Then, a gust of wind blows from above, carrying floating rocks with it. The wind element represents the change of matter, driving and supporting. The earth element represents solid matter, giving all things a place to rest. He stands there utterly bewildered. But the voice declares, with absolute certainty, no matter how the world's appearance changes, elements and power are eternal. Learn to control them, and everything will be under your command. Shijiya looks at the elements around him. They aren't just earth, water, fire, and wind. It feels strange because things like earth, water, fire, and wind are actually made of them. Back in the real world, he coughs up blood in his sleep, but in his conscious mind, something is violently slamming into his chest. Shijiya cries out in agony, "Arg! It hurts so much." Anki scoffs at his fragile body. If your weak physical body is destroyed, your subconscious space will suffer too. Exhausted, he collapses. Am I going to die? He forces out with whatever strength he has left. No, I don't want to die yet. Anchi looks down at him coldly as Shijiya begs, "Please, save me." Another mocking remark escapes its mouth. How pathetic. Humans are so weak. With that, he blasts the water element straight ahead. Terrified, Shijiya stammers, What is this? What are you doing?" Magic seals begin to swirl around Shijiya, leaving him staring at his own body in utter disbelief. The pain is gone. He stares at his hands, which are now encircled by seals as all the water gathers around his wrists. What are these runes? A magic circle manifests right in front of him. Anki, now possessing a fully formed body, replies, "This is the ancient tome of elemental synthesis." He focuses all his attention on listening, yet he still can't quite make out the figure before him. It will help you absorb the surrounding water elements to stabilize your injuries. Fearing he might slip away, Shijiya calls out, "Wait!" The mysterious figure suddenly dashes behind him. Commit this magic circle to memory and keep yourself alive. Shijiya lies exhausted on his bed, the entity's voice still echoing flatly in his mind. Learn to control them, and everything will be under your command. Unconsciously, he stares up at the ceiling. The crazy events that just unfolded leave him completely dazed. Ugh, my head hurts so bad. Suddenly, a shout comes from the door. Huka, it's right here. This is the kid's place. He gasps. Huh? Someone's here? Loud banging and the sound of kicking rattle the door lock as the gang beats on Shijia's door. Listen up, once we're inside, make it quick. Another thug speaks up cautiously. Huoka, word is, this kid might be an Esper too. You should be careful. Hearing every word from inside, Shijia grits his teeth. Damn it, the Thonlong gang again. I can't fight them, and I can't run either. Huoka snarls in annoyance. Scared of what? Get in there. Find the demon blade, and bring that punk to me. He barks orders at his lackeys. You two, hit the bedroom. Move it. The thugs search, but find nothing. He's not over here either. Slipping out through the window, he gets spotted by another goon outside. The kid is over here, and he's got the blade. He grits his teeth, feeling like he has just walked straight into a death trap. Grabbing an alarm clock, he hurls it behind him. Take this, you bastards. Without hesitation, he leaps out of the window. Hit squarely on the head by the clock, they growl in anger. Ow. Is that brat trying to commit suicide? Huoka cracks his knuckles and barks. Get out of my way. He unleashes his Ishiral, prison fist, his hand instantly erupting into a blaze. The attack triggers a massive explosion that rips through the building. The lackeys cough through the thick smoke. Huoca, you think we burned that kid to ashes? There won't even be a corpse left. One of them points to the charred remains of the blast. Look, Huochie, this is the top floor. Even if the fire didn't kill him, the fall definitely did. Huoke smirks with satisfaction. I didn't even use my full strength. But as he glances outside, something catches his eye. He spits out a curse. Damn it. Then he roars to his men. He's up on the rooftop. After him. Up on the massive rooftop, Shijia slumps onto the ground, gasping heavily for breath. The Thonlang gang is completely out of control. Recalling that blazing punch from earlier, he shudders. Is that guy even human? At that exact moment, a voice called out in response. Whether he's human or not, we'll find out once we test him. What? He gasped, turning sharply toward the voice. It turned out to be Wojia, who sneered sarcastically. You've got quite a tough life, don't you, Kid Shika? Terrified, Shika raised his voice to negotiate. Don't come any closer. We can talk this out. You guys just want money, not my life, right? Wojia scoffed. I couldn't care less about money. What I'm actually interested in is you. Shika stumbled back a few steps, stuttering. Bro, big bro, let's just talk this through calmly. Pale with fear, he gripped the demon blade. If you come any closer, I won't be nice. But seeing the legendary weapon right in front of him, Huojia's eyes lit up. Oh ho, he praised the weapon's immense power. So this is the demon blade. Absolutely spectacular. Shika broke into a cold sweat, stammering, The demon blade? Oh my god, big bro, this is just a game reward, even if it is the first prize. But his words fell on deaf ears as Huojia wound up another punch. Hellfire fist, shut up and die. With a massive roar, he unleashed a punch that sent Shika flying several feet away. Shika's body slammed hard against the iron stairs behind him. Ugh, ah, that hurts. The flames from the punch set his shirt ablaze. It's burning. Luckily, he spotted a water tank and quickly found a way to put it out. Water, thank God. Huojia marched toward him step by step, sneering, Kid, if you don't show me what you've got, you're dead. He spoke while sending a wave of flames chasing after him. Pretty soon, I'll let you experience the true power of the demon blade. Shika scrambled up the ladder in panic, shouting, wait a minute. In the nick of time, he plunged into the water tank just before the raging flames could catch him. Huojia looked up and mocked him. Psh, what a weakling. He couldn't even take one hit. One of his lackeys pointed at the tank. Lord Huo, that kid fell into the water. Huojia sneered with utter contempt, leaving Shika no way out. Fish the blade out. As for the kid, do whatever you want with him. The goons shouted in unison. Yes, Lord Huo. Inside the tank, Shika was coughing and choking on the water. Cough, cough. That was way too close. The lackeys stood on the rim of the tank, laughing maliciously. Hee, kid, hand over the blade. The chase had been far too easy for Huojia. He sighed in disappointment. How boring. Meanwhile, the goons on top kept cheering. Stab him. Stab him to death. Ha ha ha. Shika, completely helpless, began to sink deeper and deeper. As the demon blade sank alongside him, he struggled to hang onto his last thread of consciousness. I can't breathe. I don't want to die. Just then, that familiar voice echoed in his mind once again. Do you want to live? Then memorize this magic circle. Weakly, he forced his eyes open. The magic circle from his dream finally appeared. It was the ancient elemental synthesis art. It was Lord Lucifer himself, channeling his immense power directly into Shika's body. The Dark Lord's glowing sigils spread across Shika's skin, and that raw power jolted him wide awake. Calmly, he pointed at a water bubble and drew a few quick strokes in the water. From left to right, top to bottom, and then a quick swipe across, he executed a secret technique to create a perfect sphere. It glowed in unison with the sigils on his body. Guided by his fluid movements, the water inside the tank began to spin into a violent vortex, his eyes glowing with crystal clarity. All traces of his previous weakness completely vanished. Seeing no more movement inside, the goons outside reported back to their leader, Huojia. That little punk is probably done for, Huojia barked. Who cares? Just get the demon blade. Go down there and fish it out. Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently. One of the goons cried out in panic. Huh? What's going on? Is this an earthquake? The water tank vibrated intensely, sending ripples across the surface. The goons stared in confusion. Heads up, it sounds like there's something moving in the water. Could he still be alive? What? Before the goon could even finish his sentence, a hand made of water dragged him right in. The guy's eyes popped out in sheer terror as his veins bulged, and he was pulled straight into the heart of the watery vortex. Seeing this happen right before his eyes, another goon gasped. What on earth is that? Screams for help immediately echoed. Whoa, Lord Huo. Oh God, Lord Huo, save me. Huojia, however, grew even more thrilled. Ha ha ha, now this is what I call a fight. Inside the tank, a massive sphere of water began to form. It shot straight up into the air. Below, Huojia challenged him mockingly. Bring it on. Show yourself. You think I'm scared of you? In an instant, their attacks collided. Fire and water clashed in a massive explosion. Huojia groaned under the sheer pressure of the impact. Ugh. Shika's overwhelming power was too much to handle. Huojia gritted his teeth and cursed. Holy crap. He couldn't believe this insane power was coming from that kid. No, there's no way. His hellfire fist had been completely overpowered. Taking a direct hit from the water blast, he was sent flying dozens of feet back, drenching him in cold sweat. He thought to himself in sheer terror, is this some kind of joke? How can this guy be this strong? Now, looking like a total loser, Huojia was quickly surrounded by his worried subordinates. Even Shika himself couldn't believe his newfound strength as he stared down at his own hands. Down below, the goons looked up to see him standing tall and proud. Look, that little punk is still alive. Shika spoke in a low, cold voice. You wanted to see what I've got? His words were a direct provocation. Don't just lie there on the ground. Get up and come at me. With that, he raised his hand high, and the water immediately split apart, soaring into the sky. The streams swirled and merged together, forming a colossal hand of water. With a fierce glare, Shika boldly cursed at them. You miserable bastards. He threw powerful water punches, each blow emphasizing his boiling rage. Thought your fire fist was hot stuff, huh? Think your Green Wolf gang rules the underworld? You bastards dared to trash my home. Let me give you a taste of getting wrecked too. Having finally unleashed his power, he couldn't stop taunting. Take another hit. The tables had turned. Huoye, now black and blue, pleaded. Wait, big brother, spare me. Shijia roared. Lushan, rising dragon force. But suddenly, the water stopped obeying him and came splashing right down on his face. Shijia was completely bewildered. What's going on? Out of juice already? He clenched his fists, inwardly fuming. There was no time to charge up again. So what now? Seeing Shijia frozen like a statue, the guy smirked to himself. Heaven is on my side. It looks like this little brat hasn't mastered his powers yet. The blazing hell fist was unleashed once more. He cursed in frustration. Crap, here it comes again. Talk about cheap shots. The blast of fire hit him dead on, making him groan in agony. Raging flames engulfed his body. It was too hot to bear, so Shijia plunged straight into the water tank again. Huoye struck, shouting, Take this! What do you think happens when water meets fire? Submerged in the tank, Shijia opened his eyes, sensing everything around him. Bubbles kept rising rapidly in the tank. Ugh, the water temperature is rising fast. Standing outside, Huoye relentlessly heated the tank with his flames. Ha ha ha, I'm gonna stew you alive. Unable to withstand the extreme heat, a hole burst open in the tank. He looked back in surprise. The tank was now riddled with several large holes, spraying water everywhere. Engulfed in fire, Huoye scrambled to avoid the surging water. Ruimon suddenly appeared above him. Oh my, oh my. Crackling with lightning, he mocked. You actually missed? The water tank couldn't take it anymore and shattered into 100 pieces. The blast blew away all of Huoye's lackeys, sending them falling off the rooftop. And Shijia was no exception. Falling freely through the air, he opened his eyes and panicked. But then, Rumen appeared like a savior, swooping in to catch him. He whispered in Shijia's ear, "Ha, perfect timing." With that, he held on to Shijia, shouting, "Brace for landing." Shijia's face contorted in fear. What landing? What are you doing?" With a toss from Ruimon, Shijia went flying right back onto the rooftop. Up you go. Next came the lackeys. And these guys too. He grabbed them one by one. Moving like a flash of lightning, Rumen left only yellow streaks in his wake. He landed next to a lackey who had fainted from sheer terror. And done. He pushed up his glasses, basking in his triumph, while Shijia and Huoye's lackeys retched and barfed nearby. Tears streaming down his face, Shijia turned and demanded, "Who on earth are you?" Ruiman struck a cool pose, raising his index finger, Special Ops Captain of the Long Zoo, Ruiman. Before Shijia could process this, Ruimon raised his voice. "Didn't I tell you to stay out of trouble? Look at the pathetic state you're in now," he pointed at Shijia. Shijia stammered, "Wait, are you one of them?" Watching them from a distance, Huoye prayed silently. "Oh God, I'm dead meat." Ruiman smirked, looking over at Lao Huo. "What a coincidence. I was just looking for you." Shijia was totally confused. "Huh? You two know each other?" He replied, "Yep, that's right." Before adding, a notorious level 2 wanted criminal in the Esper world, known as Lao Huo, and yet he somehow ended up right at your doorstep. Hearing this, Huoye's face went pale. He turned to flee, spitting back. "Consider yourself lucky today, you brat." Emboldened, Shijia taunted, "Don't run if you've got the guts." Dissatisfied, Ruimon shot forward. "Stay right here. I need to deal with this guy first." Shijia was dumbfounded. Is that speed even human? Seeing a door right ahead, Lao Huo prepared to make his escape, but Ruimon cut him off instantly. "Where do you think you're going?" Furious, Lao Huo cursed as he threw a blazing hell fist. "Too fast. Damn it, I'll take you down with me." Before he could even strike, Ruiman kicked him dead in the face, sending him flying with tears and snot spraying everywhere. Ruiman charged a ball of electricity in his hand, waiting for Lao Huo to land so he could deliver another beating. He glared at him. "What did you just say? The wind is too loud." With that, he blasted him with the ball of electricity, eliciting a blood-curdling scream. Lao Huo was blown back 10 meters, triggering a massive explosion. Meanwhile, Ruiman remained totally unfazed, muttering, "Didn't catch that." Shijia watched wide-eyed. "Wow, that's completely one-sided." Huoye struggled to push himself back up, coughing violently. "Damn it." He gritted his teeth in rage. "How could I fall in a place like this?" Shijia was shocked, not expecting him to get back up. Huoye charged straight at Ruimon, roaring, "I'll destroy you." Ruimon stood ready, "Still want to push your luck?" But to his surprise, Lao Huo darted right past him, yelling, "Even if I die, I'm taking you with me." Startled, Ruimon whipped around. "What?" Covered in raging flames, Lao Huo was lunging straight at Shijia. Shijia braced himself and activated his ancient book origin art as water out of nowhere began to swirl around him. "Please work." Closing his eyes tight, he prayed, "Please, just succeed." Suddenly, Huoye froze in his tracks. His prayer had actually worked. A sphere of water materializes, trapping him inside as he frantically struggles. What on earth is this? He tries to blast his way out, unleashing flames against the water wall. But his own fire turns against him, making him scream in agony. "How is this possible? My own flames are backfiring. It's too hot." "Ah, no." Exhausted, he collapses. Thick CA lets out a sigh of relief. "Whew, it actually worked." The water sphere bursts, sending his opponent crashing to the ground, out cold. Gasping for air, Thich Ka drops to his knees. Finally, it's over. Thui Man looks down at him. "Guess I didn't even need to step in." "What's wrong? Can't even stand up?" Barely holding on. Thick CA croaks out. "Those guys. And you. What are you people exactly?" Before he can get an answer, his vision goes dark, and he collapses. Thui Man clicks his tongue. "Tch, how rude." Pulling out his phone, he makes a quick call. "Hey, rooftop of Building 7. Come clean up this mess." Meanwhile, down below Thixa's apartment, In a bustling, crowded residential complex, Dao Tu is the only one standing there, looking around anxiously. Is this really Thick Sa's place? She recalls what happened earlier. Thick Ka, looking effortlessly handsome, had handed her his jacket. Keep this to protect yourself. It's great for blocking the wind if you don't mind wearing it. The memories make her blush with embarrassment. He has clearly found a place in her heart. I've washed the jacket, so I must return it to him in person. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind sweeps by, kicking up a cloud of dust. It turns out to be a low-flying aircraft, its powerful draft blowing Dao Tu's hair wildly into her face. Dao Tu instinctively looks up. Meanwhile, at a food street in City S, Thick Sa is wearing his uniform, working his part-time job. Come try our new items. Special discounts today, don't miss out. He yells until his throat is dry. Strange, why are there so few people today? Actually, there hasn't been a single soul since the start. Suddenly, a noise catches his attention. Huh? A group of thugs from the Huo clan is heading straight for him. We've worn out our shoes looking for you, kid, the leader sneers. There's no escaping us this time. Today, we settle all our old and new scores once and for all. Terrified, Thick Sa stumbles backward. You guys, shouldn't you be? How are you here? Suddenly, crimson lightning strikes from the sky as blood-red raindrops begin pouring down on him. His eyes widen in sheer disbelief. My eyes aren't playing tricks on me. Why is the rain red? Suddenly, Thick Ka feels the weight of a demonic blade in his hand, and his work uniform is completely gone. Staring down at the demonic blade, he mutters, What? What is this? He questions himself. When did this black blade even get into my hand? Just then, a lightning bolt strikes the blade. Ah! He loses his footing and plunges into a bottomless abyss. He wakes up with a jolt. It was all just a dream. No! His hands clench tightly. Stop, please, ah! He pants heavily, gasping for breath. Whew, whew. Dazed, he presses a hand to his forehead. Was that just a dream? Suddenly, his bones protest with a sharp crackling sound. He clutches his chest in agony. Arg. Damn it, it hurts so bad. With a grim expression, he growls, Where the hell am I? Watching the whole display, Thweeman replies with a smug grin, In the sky. Oh, you're awake? Thick Sa's eyes widen as a million questions flood his mind. In the sky? Wait, am I dead? No way. Aren't I supposed to be the main character? Thweeman winks. To be precise, you're currently in an aircraft 30,000 meters above the ground. Tears stream down Thick Sa's face. An aircraft? So, I'm still alive. Wait, why the heck am I on a plane anyway? Are you guys kidnappers or something? Thweeman spins around in his chair, completely speechless. Ha! What, are you a stand-up comedian or something? He adjusts his glasses, lets out a mischievous chuckle, and wheels his chair right up to him. Hee hee. Stopping inches from Thick Sa's face, Thweeman makes him break into a cold sweat. Thick Sa, listen to me very carefully, he says, pointing a finger at himself. Yours truly belongs to the Dragon Division. I'm in charge of all matters involving Esper activity in City S. In stark contrast to his serious introduction, Thick Sa pouts skeptically. Dude, you've been reading way too much high school manga. Thweeman leans back and points at him. I've been keeping tabs on you for a long time, kid. Hearing this, Thick Sa defensively wraps his arms around himself. What? Why are you stalking me? What's your angle here? Thweeman sighs. Whether you want to admit it or not, I think you've already felt it, that mysterious power slumbering inside you. Hearing him confirm it, Thick Ka freezes in shock. A cold sweat breaks out across his body as he trembles. Does he know about the little black blade? Thweeman continues. That power is incredibly massive. We need to investigate and secure it before it's too late. Panic-stricken, Thick Sa stammers. Wait, hold on a second. Thweeman raises his index finger. Oh right, there's one more thing you might actually care about. Thick Ka grimaces. Thweeman's expression turns deadly serious. We ran some scans on your body. He drops the bombshell on Thick Sa. There is a bullet lodged right in your heart. Simply put, you are about to die. Hey, watch your mouth. Thick Sa immediately fires back. But then, a realization hits him. Huh? Memories flood back, carrying the echoing voice of Lucifer. A mortal vessel is truly trash. That fragile body of yours is on the verge of collapsing. He goes completely numb. What? So it wasn't a nightmare. I'm actually dying? With a snap of his fingers, Thweeman says with an air of superiority. And that is why we are heading to a certain place right now. As long as we can identify your spiritual energy, We will definitely find a way to save your life. Gritting his teeth, he asked, What if? What if I'm not some spiritual energy user like you say? Tweeman clicked his tongue. In that case, given your condition, I'm afraid your body would have gone cold a long time ago. With that, he glanced down at his watch. Huh? The watch displayed their position and a prompt popped up, entering target area. Adjust coordinates? Leaning back in his seat with a smug grin, he murmured, We're almost there. Prepare for landing. Thick TA looked out the aircraft window. What is this? His face went completely pale, unable to believe his eyes. The aircraft was flying toward an isolated island in the middle of the ocean. Where on earth are we? Thich K muttered, shoving his hands into his pockets. Just then, an announcement chimed. Login sequence initiated. He reached up and unclasped his necklace. To be safe, Thiksa slipped it into his pocket. Whoa, what's going on? The system announced again, coordinates adjusted. Entering magnetic field. The sudden jolt of the aircraft made him slip, his face tilting at a funny 45-degree angle. Oh, quick as lightning, Thweeman saw him falling and lunged forward, catching him like someone catching a falling phone, then cheered. Thank goodness it didn't smash. Ignoring Thich who was groaning in pain on the floor, he gleefully snapped a photo. Ha ha ha, you look so stupid. Let me take a picture of this. Thich was absolutely fuming. Just then, Mia burst in from outside. Hey, what are you guys doing? Why is it so noisy? She walked over to Thika. Ah, you're the guy Thweeman picked up, right? I'm Mia, the Dragon Clan's mechanical specialist. He blushed with embarrassment. Hi there. She pinched his cheek. Huh, how strange. I don't feel any spiritual energy on you at all. Unable to believe it, she turned to Thweeman. This is really weird. Is this actually the target you've been monitoring? Are you absolutely sure he's a spiritual energy user? He immediately answered with certainty, well, I can't say for sure, but when this kid faced off against Lao Hoa, he pulled off a move no ordinary human could ever do. The two of them gleefully planned, so, we're bringing him to the island first to run some tests. In that case, we'll have to get Thien Can to give him a thorough examination when we arrive, they decided, completely ignoring Thich Ka's protests. Could you two stop talking in such a creepy tone? Mia's expression turned serious. Lately, criminal cases in the spiritual world have been skyrocketing, and rumors about the apocalypse are spreading everywhere. We can't let this go on, Thweeman reassured her. You're right. There's an undercurrent of troublemakers in our world looking to exploit any opportunity they can get. But the Dragon Clan's mission is to protect the order of the spiritual world. Don't worry. Then, immediately slipping back into his playful self, he added, And don't worry. I'll protect you too, little junior sister. Furious, she instantly slammed him to the floor, shouting, How many times do I have to tell you? Stop calling me little junior sister. He got absolutely thrashed. Seeing this, Thich Ta asked with concern. Hey. You okay? Splayed out on the floor, he wheezed. No. I'm fine. The aircraft system began counting down, requesting landing clearance as the landing sequence initiated. Startled, he asked, What's happening? Thweeman clutched his head and sat up. Not again. It's always like this. As the countdown hit 4, he scrambled to his feet, shouting, Quick, get to your seat. She just activated freefall landing. The countdown hit 3. Thixa stood there like an idiot, thinking, I have no idea what that means, but I've got a really bad feeling about this. Thweeman yelled urgently, Stop dragging your feet and move. Thixa replied, I'm coming. The countdown hit 2. He clumsily fumbled with his seatbelt. Damn it, it won't buckle. From across the cabin, Thweeman snapped, You idiot, buckle up. The countdown hit 1. Got it. Right as Thixie finally buckled his seatbelt, the countdown hit 0. The shaking of the aircraft suddenly stopped in midair, and the countdown ended. Even the roaring engines went completely silent. Panicking, Thixa stammered, What's going on? Then, the intercom crackled to life. Brace for impact. Everyone. Wish you the best of luck. The second those words left her mouth, the aircraft nosedived straight toward the sea, looking like it was in a complete freefall. The violent shaking knocked everything loose inside the cabin, but Ruiman was absolutely loving it, letting out a couple of excited woohoos. Shijia, on the other hand, felt like his life was flashing before his eyes. Down below, the wind parted the sea into a massive circle, and surrounded by layers of vortex, the aircraft plunged straight down. He widened his eyes in pure terror, thinking, You call this a landing? The craft slammed straight into the water, sinking deep into the silent depths of the ocean. Over the comms, Mia barked an order: open the ballast valves, submerge the engines, and switch to underwater propulsion. Both sonar arrays fired up at once, preparing for a deep dive. Shigeya was miserably foaming at the mouth, while next to him, Ruimon casually checked his wrist gauge. The reading showed 100. Only 100 meters? The ship's automated voice chimed in again. 200. 500. 1,000. Warning. Ambient pressure is critically high. Her face darkened as she commanded. Activate the second carbon fiber nanoshield. Keep pushing deeper. Shigeya slowly opened his eyes. The real ocean depths were pitch black and freezing cold. There was absolutely nothing beautiful about it. The ship's system rang out. Current depth, 1,200 meters. He felt cold. So cold. Looking back, what Daozi said was absolutely true. Ruiman, sitting next to him, looked over. Oh, you're awake? He tried to reassure Shika. If you really need to pass out, go ahead. We're almost there anyway. Mia continued to pilot the aircraft. Docking point is ready. Preparing for cabin assembly. The aircraft dived into the deep sea abyss, reaching the target coordinates. Mia sat ready at the controls. Docking on the starboard side, assembling the aircraft. The cabin must be 100% assembled before we can start. Ruimon nudged him to snap him out of it. Hey, pull yourself together. The aircraft will get us there in no time. She casually announced, we've arrived. Shika was completely exhausted and ready to give up, but his urge to throw up wouldn't let him. Yeah. He immediately bolted. Ruimon tried to reach out but was too late. Hey, the door isn't that way. Throw up in the trash can on the floor. Mia doubted his power even more. He can't even handle this much? How could a guy like him be an Esper? He let out a sigh of relief. Ah, that feels way better. Ruimon angrily dragged him along, ignoring his screams. If you're feeling better, then let's go. Hey, stop, let go of me. The three of them arrived at a vessel. He looked around in awe. Is our destination really at the bottom of the ocean? What is this? Beside him, Ruimon smirked with pride. He chased after Shika, yelling, Hey, don't run off. Shika responded with a clueless question, What is this? And touched the demon's skull as he asked. They bickered back and forth. You idiot! What are you pressing random things for? I was trying to find a shortcut. I just thought it was a normal statue. The three of them stood before the skull. Ruimon said helplessly, Forget it. Since you've already activated the Night Watch gate, let's just do a test first. Shika looked up. This is a gate? Before he could even finish his sentence, the skull transformed, growing into a massive size. Ruimon chimed in to fill him in. This is the Night Watch gate. He cheerfully requested, Place your hand on it to take the test. Shika asked back, Place my hand on it? He raised his hand. Like this? A mysterious surge of Esper energy radiated from his hand. Shika wondered, What is this? This feeling is so bizarre. He could clearly feel the light flowing through his veins and into his body, as if it were scanning for something. Behind him, Ruimon explained, If you're an Esper, the gate will open for you. Mia was starting to believe in his power. The Night Watch gate responded, This kid really is an Esper, but suddenly, something went wrong, making them panic. A flash of light burst before his eyes, and the gate slammed shut instantly. The blast of light sent him flying far away. Ruimon jumped in shock. Holy crap. Shika cried out in pain. Hey, what kind of gate is this? It's clearly an electric fence. Mia teased him gleefully. Ha ha. He failed the test. Hey, handsome, you must have misjudged him. Ruimon's face darkened when he heard this. He pondered, That's weird. If he wasn't one, the Night Watch gate would have rejected him right from the start. And it definitely reacted earlier. The three of them stared helplessly at the gate. Mia volunteered to go first. How about I give it a shot? Shika warned her. Watch out. Getting shocked really hurts. Ruimon approached him and said, The Night Watch gate registers every Esper guest who visits. And of course, only an Esper can make it open. He wanted to make sure. So when it shocked me earlier, does that mean I'm not an Esper? Ruimon brushed it off. We can't be sure yet. It looks like you'll need a more thorough test. He asked, puzzled. Wait, is the test over then? Mia's voice echoed from the other side. Beyond the gate was a dazzling bright sky. Welcome to Evernight Island. She urged them. Let's go, guys. Shika's eyes widened. Oh my god. Am I dreaming? Ruimon nudged him to hurry up. All right, stop babbling and let's go. The three of them walked forward, and what lay ahead left him completely speechless. Evernight Island appeared before him as an upside-down city. He shook with confusion. An upside-down city at the bottom of the sea? This has got to be an illusion. What did you guys feed me back on the aircraft? Ruimon had to quiet down his noisy outbursts. That place is exactly where we're heading. Evernight Island. He stood there in disbelief, receiving disdainful looks from the two beside him. But it's upside down. How are we even supposed to walk? Mia gave a playful wink. We go up from there. She pointed toward a crowd of people. It's the only designated transportation on Evernight Island. Below, Shika's voice could still be heard. Oh my God, you're not trying to trick me into riding a roller coaster, are you? Thousands of people stood in line, their voices buzzing in a constant chatter. Shika whispered softly, Are there really this many people at the bottom of the ocean? Ruiman casually replied, Well, it's the once every 3 years admission season. He listened to them talk, a bunch of foreigners chattering in different languages. Then, looking around warily, he asked, Admission? Is this place a school? The vehicle's announcement rang out. Please take your seats and do not wander around. The train is about to leave. Chige quickly approaches a stranger. Phew, finally made it through that crazy line. He sits right next to the two of them. It feels just like a roller coaster, but wait, where are the seatbelts? Suddenly, the shuttle shoots forward at lightning speed. Welcome to Yongyi Island. The sudden momentum throws him straight backward. In a panic, he grabs the scarf of the old man sitting in front of him. Whoa! The poor old guy gasps for air, choking and groaning. Ruimon tries to stop him but is too late. Let go of him right now, he shouts. Mia tries to calm him down, saying, Hey, don't worry, just stay calm. You are not going to fall. Hearing that, Chige quickly lets go, realizing he almost sent the poor old guy straight to heaven. Ruiman then explains how the shuttle works, telling him that the cabin automatically mimics gravity, so no matter how fast or crazy the ride gets, you are perfectly safe. Then, he raises his voice threateningly. So if you act like a complete psycho again, I will throw you out and let you fly on your own. But Chige does not back down and snaps back. Excuse me, what did you say? You should have told me sooner. Their loud bickering instantly catches Simon's attention. He narrows his eyes, focusing entirely on Chige. Who on earth is this guy? Simon wonders. Just then, the vehicle does a full 360-degree spin. As the track shifts, they align with the inverted city. That is so cool, Chige gasps. Driven by curiosity, he immediately slides over to the window seat. Then, he pauses, imagining a totally ridiculous scenario. Wait, am I going to end up hanging upside down too? Mia giggles and answers his question. The central energy source of Yongyi Island creates a unique gravitational field. It counteracts Earth's gravity, so you won't feel upside down at all. Hearing this, Chige is still completely amazed. This energy source is absolutely mind-blowing, Chige says. Ruimon, completely used to this, scoffs. The central energy has always been a mystery. Rumor has it only the island master himself has actually seen it. Hearing this, Chige jumps up in surprise. Wait, there is an island master? Who on earth could build a place like this? How powerful must this guy be? Seeing how clueless Chige is, Ruimon decides to tease him. Ha, that old man is definitely something else. He is nothing like a normal person. Seriously, not even close. Chige can only stare with a blank expression. The two of them shamelessly gossip about the island master, calling him a total nutcase who is far from normal, super clueless, yet always acting like he is some kind of big shot. He sounds like a real weirdo, Chige mutters. Listening to them talk, Mia can no longer hold back her anger. The next thing you know, the sound of the two boys getting pummeled fills the cabin. Shut up, Mia roars. How dare you talk trash behind his back? With his face bruised and swollen, Ruiman desperately tries to play nice. No way, I would never. The Dean's pure madness and coolness are just way beyond my simple comprehension. I was just being short-sighted. Chige, rubbing his own bruised face, looks confused. Wait, Dean? He scratches his head. So, the Dean is actually the island master? Just what kind of place is Yongyi Island anyway? Ruiman quickly chimed in. This place is actually an academy, and he proudly explains that they only accept psionic users here. Psionic users? Chige repeats, puzzled. Ruimon continues to explain. Yeah, people with special, superhuman abilities. Birds of a feather should flock together, right? But the more Ruimon explains, the more suspicious Chige gets. If that is the case, why on earth did they build it underwater? Things built deep underwater are usually high-security prisons, Chige thinks, resting his chin on his hand. The more he thinks about it, the sketchier this place feels. Ugh. Rumen finally loses his patience and snaps. Kid, you are literally a walking encyclopedia of questions. Why do you have so many issues? Chige does not back down and shouts right back. Am I wrong? Because I still have a whole list of questions to ask. Sitting just a row behind them, Simon has been listening to their entire conversation. His eyes flash with a mysterious glow. Oh, who is this guy? Why is he so interesting? He turns and orders the person sitting next to him. Go find out who that black-haired Asian kid is. I want a complete, detailed report on him. The person beside him is Diana. She quickly reminds him of her status. My dear prince, I am your sponsor, not your personal servant. Simon smiles, trying to pique her interest. Come on, Miss Diana. Aren't you curious about this year's freshman? I see a strange mist surrounding that guy. She acts slightly surprised. Oh? A freshman who can actually block the eye of Horus? Simon gives her a cold glare. Looking deep into his eyes, Chige's reflection shines clearly. Whatever is hiding behind that mist, it is bound to be incredibly interesting. Diana eagerly grips her whip. Is that so? How about I go drag him over here right now? Simon quickly stops her. No, that is way too reckless. As the shuttle grinds to a halt, an automated announcement plays. Please exit the vehicle in an orderly manner. Ruiman and his group step outside. Welcome to Yongye Island. Chige looks around, completely unable to believe his eyes. Whoa, are we really at the bottom of the ocean? How can there be a blue sky and white clouds down here? Seeing his completely clueless expression, Ruiman smirks and clarifies. That is just a simulated ecological dome. Follow me this way, Ruiman says. Chige looks around restlessly as Ruiman murmurs. Looks like we are taking the VIP shortcut again. She really does not want the old dean to find out she is here yet. Ah, Chige realizes. So the island master's daughter gets special VIP treatment. Ruiman smirks, a playful spark flashing in his eyes. What? You have a problem with VIP treatment? Because I definitely do not. Waiting in line takes too long. If we want to get in, we absolutely need VIP access. Diana handed Simon a stack of documents she had dug up herself. This is all the info on the freshman. Still, he felt like something was off. Strange. He continued, that guy isn't part of this year's incoming class. Flipping the page, he smirked and thought, I have a feeling we'll meet again very soon. Cut to somewhere in the forest. Shaka helplessly stared with dead fish eyes. What do you mean, VIP access? All that struggling on the fence was just scaling the wall? Below, Raymond just chuckled, told him to shut up and follow him. Shaka angrily cursed Raymond for being a con artist. Suddenly, he fell to the ground with a thud, clutching his head in pain. Rubbing his sore head, he asked, We're scaling walls here. If we get caught, won't we be in deep trouble? Raymond put his index finger to his lips, hinting at their VIP access, which of course meant not getting caught. Shh, Raymond felt something was wrong. Don't you think it's a little too quiet around here? In a flash, Raymond kicked Shaka out of the way, sending him rolling on the ground. Shaka complained in surprise. Ow! Why did you kick me? Just then, a bullet whizzed past his head. Raymond urgently pressed, Don't just stand there, run! Too slow to react, Shaka burst into tears of panic. I almost died just now. Why on earth did you bring me to this creepy place? Ignoring him, Raymond whispered, Shh, they're coming. Shaka had absolutely no clue what was going on. A group of armed, fully covered soldiers pointed their weapons at them. The targets were locked, and their positions were confirmed. They reported the situation through their comms. Targets lost. Search the area thoroughly, sir. Not used to this kind of action, Shaka panted heavily. Huff, are you sure you brought me here to cure my illness and not to get me killed? Raymond stealthily scouted from behind a giant tree. Once he felt safe, he sat down on the ground with a sigh. Don't worry. This is a restricted area, so their reaction is just a little extreme. Unable to believe his ears, Shaka stammered. Restricted? Raymond warily hushed him. Shh. Keep your voice down. The two hid behind a bush. Can you see how many of them are out there? His voice was steady as he called out the directions. At least 2 guys at 11 o'clock. There are probably more at 12 and 1 o'clock. Raymond gave him a rare compliment. Wow, 10 out of 10 vision, huh? Now feeling proud, Shaka boasted. You're kidding, right? I'm the top player in PUBG. He didn't forget to tease him further. Haha, I forgot that you're always stuck in second place. Up on top of the building, Instructor Coburn shouted, "Intruders!" She sneered through her binoculars. "You can't escape. Give yourselves up." With the sound of rushing footsteps, the armed soldiers signaled that they had spotted them. "Get them!" Seeing them rushing over, Shika panicked. "They're coming this way. Crap, they have guns. Can we just retreat?" Raymond, exasperated by his cowardice, asked, "Is there anything useful about you? There's a sniper on the roof. Climbing back over that wall is basically begging to get shot. What are you doing?" Raymond looked over in shock as Shika stripped off his white shirt to make a white flag. At a time like this, saving his own skin was all that mattered. Even Raymond couldn't believe his eyes and facepalmed. Then, Raymond snapped back into battle mode. No need. Against opponents of this level. Raymond dashed forward. 3 seconds is all I need to wrap this up. Leaving Shika with his half-removed shirt, the soldiers locked onto him, chambering their rounds and preparing to pull the triggers. In a mere 3-second window, 1. Raymond snatched the gun right out of a soldier's hands. 2. He punched another guy square in the face. Before the soldier could even react, Raymond leapt into the air and landed a brutal kick right on his jaw. 3. He kicked him 10 meters away. No one around him could stand in his way anymore. Up on the roof, Instructor Coburn ordered, "Team B, advance." They quickly complied. "Roger," and aimed all their weapons at Raymond. He glanced over casually. Like lightning, he ducked and weaved through the hail of bullets. "Ha! You really think this is enough to stop me?" He kept running, completely outstripping the speed of the gunfire. A flash of light darted past, leaving one soldier stunned. He and his comrade stared straight ahead in confusion. Where did he go? Instantly, Raymond was standing right behind them. "Hello there," he smirked, locking eyes with the two in front of him. Shika stood shivering behind a bush, watching them as the soldiers frantically shouted to one another, "He's over here. Shoot him. Shoot him." Shika backed away behind a tree trunk, pleading, "Watch your fire, boss." He couldn't help but feel terrified, wishing he was just playing the game instead. "Damn it, I've played a lot of PUBG, but this is the real deal." He poked his head out, wondering, wait, why did the gunfire stop? Standing right in front of him was Raymond, wiping the sweat from his brow. Raymond let out a sigh of relief. Phew, that was a piece of cake. Piled up at his feet were the soldiers who had just taken a severe beating. Shika stared in absolute awe. Incredible. He took them all out by himself. Suddenly, realization struck him. Wait a minute. I remember there was a sniper on the rooftop. Climbing that wall was basically giving away our location. Before he could even finish the thought, he dashed forward like a bullet. He didn't forget to warn him to stay alert. Up on the rooftop, Thui Man stood under the open sky, his brow furrowing as if he had just spotted something. Bang! A bullet came flying, knocking him backward. Thichka rushed over in a panic. Thui Man. He seemed completely unconscious, leaving Thichka to scream, "Damn it, don't you dare die." The sniper confidently reported a hit. The master wondered, huh? She had to look through her binoculars to double-check. Let me see. Knowing her opponent inside out, she snapped at the sniper. You idiot, it won't be that easy. She ordered him to re-verify the target. The sniper peered back through his scope, completely shocked to find nobody there. That kid is gone. Actually, just a few seconds earlier, Thichka had warned him to watch out for snipers. He had already calculated the bullet's trajectory. Too slow, he leaned back, letting the bullet graze past him and out of his sight. He used that dodge to fake a fall, playing his part like a pro actor, lying on the ground with a smirk. And back to the present, the sniper couldn't find him anywhere. The target has disappeared, Master Cabon urged. Then find him, quick. He replied hurriedly, yes ma'am. He scanned the ground from the rooftop, but there was absolutely no one in sight. Damn it, where did he go? I'm sure I hit him. Suddenly, Thui Man appeared right in his crosshairs. He gasped, found him, yo. Thui Man waved at him like an old friend he hadn't seen in ages. Aside from that smug smile, he was already holding a grenade. Smirking with a chuckle, he suddenly tossed the grenade into the air. A little gift. He kicked the grenade, sending it flying straight toward the master. Not good. Shocked, she ordered. Shoot the target now. The sniper replied, yes ma'am, and fired a supersonic bullet. The grenade and the bullet collided in midair. Boom. The massive explosion sent both the master and the sniper flying backward. Watching them, Thui Man smirked with glee. Heh. Above, there was only white smoke and the sound of coughing. Cough, cough, damn it, it's tear gas. An amused glint sparkled in his eyes. Just then, something came hurtling down from above. Not bad. Master Kaban leaped down, radiating pure bloodlust. Her hand clenched into a lightning-charged fist. Got you, Thui man. He provoked her. Come on, show me a new move. She gritted her teeth in rage. This time, she unleashed her ultimate skill, smashing her fists together. Take this, lightning gauntlets. Her hair stood completely on end. A surge of energy blasted straight toward Thui man. Unfazed, he countered her attack, slamming his hand onto the ground to unleash arcs of lightning. He smiled, fired up for the fight. Moving at supersonic speed, he flipped and dodged every single strike from her lightning gauntlets. Thui man charged forward. Haha, I'm still faster. Master Kaban growled in frustration. You brat, she charged right back. You dare face me head on? As they were about to clash, she unleashed a powerful blast of light. Unfortunately for her, he was already hovering right above her head. Yo! He dropped down, channeling all his power into his leg, while the master blocked it with her gauntlets. She praised him with a smile. Kid, your speed has improved again. He humbly replied, I'm still no match for you, Master Kaban. Thick Ka, who had been watching the whole time, stammered, Is this a real fight? Thui man stood before her. So, shall we call it a draw, Master Kaban? He muttered in shock. Master? Kaban's attitude flipped in an instant as she lunged at him. I missed you so much, you little trespasser. She hugged Thui man so hard he practically coughed up blood. Let's have a passionate hug. In sheer pain, his eyes rolled back. Let me go. Thick Ca turned pale as he watched Thui man getting squeezed to death. It looks like he's actually about to die. Did you only just notice? She pushed Thui man away and laughed out loud. A draw? I can't accept that. Next time, I'm definitely catching you, you little trespasser. She ordered her subordinates. Stop playing dead, you guys. Thick Sa felt like he had just been totally played. Wait a minute. So everything that just happened was fake? The master replied solemnly. Of course not. Thui man added, this is a heavily guarded, restricted area, even though they used riot control stun guns. The long-range sniper rifle was a Barrett M95, loaded with live ammo. The master enthusiastically agreed. Exactly. Thick Ca was the only one who reacted, shouting, Then we almost got killed just now. She pointed right at him, laughing. Ha ha. By the way, Thui man, who is this kid? Thui man replied cryptically, You're the only one here who doesn't know. He leaned down and whispered right into the master's ear, making Thick Sa extremely uncomfortable. Confusing formulas practically spun in his head as he wondered, what on earth are they talking about? Master Kaban burst into laughter. Oh, I see. Haha. She eagerly welcomed him as a student. Hey kid, do you want to come to Vinda Island and become a real psychic? I'll train you well, he asked in disbelief. Can I really do it? The three of them walked down the hallway of the medical department, heading toward the testing room. Thick Ka and Kabon chatted and laughed like they had a deep, long-standing master-student bond. Do I really have a chance to get superpowers? Of course. Just wait for the test results. So Master Kaban's superpower is lightning? That is so cool. Haha, you sure have a good eye, he asked curiously. Speaking of which, are there any weird superpowers? Carbon replied. That also depends on what aspect you mean. He stared blankly at the thing in front of him. Oh, is it here? But I haven't even asked yet. Ruiman angrily raised her leg and kicked him right in the back. Why do you have so many questions? Just go get your checkup done already. He flew forward, crying out in pain. With that, she slammed the door shut, leaving him all alone. I don't even know what I'm supposed to get checked yet. He couldn't help but feel suspicious. Something about this place seemed extremely off. Shaka was completely alone in the middle of the lab, with not a single person in sight. He called out, Hello? Is anyone here? I'm here for my checkup. Suddenly, an orb appeared out of nowhere and ordered, Lie down. It startled him half to death. Ah, what on earth is that? But once he calmed down, he couldn't help but marvel. Wow, this is so high-tech. He sat on the X-ray machine, only needing to lie down. You want to take some scans? The orb announced. No records found. Aren't you a student from Evernight Island? He timidly replied. No, Ruiman brought me here, he said. Before Shaka could even finish, the orb ordered, Lie still. Creating a new profile. Initiating scan. The orb scanned his body data step by step. Oh, ruptured aorta. But vital signs are normal. Unidentified energy detected near the heart. Faint spiritual body. Hearing the term vital signs, he instantly flinched. The orb commanded, "Do not move," preparing for spiritual energy analysis. From behind the screen, Tianjin kept clicking, but everything failed. The analysis showed errors, and even restarting it ended in failure. Unable to scan the patient's spiritual energy, she found it extremely strange. The sudden dead silence made him wonder, huh? Why did it go completely silent? Tianjin stepped down and said, "Your destroyed heart has been enveloped by an incredibly powerful spiritual energy, keeping death at bay. But your actual spiritual energy value is 0. This is completely unscientific." Glowing with an aura, Tianjin stared at him in disbelief. "What on earth happened to you?" He panicked. What? How did someone just pop out of nowhere without making a single sound?" He asked suspiciously once more. "Wait a second. Are you even human?" Tianjin's face darkened as she glared back. She introduced herself through the orb. "I am Tianjin, the chief of medicine." He trembled as he realized his condition. "A chief of medicine is a doctor, right? I'm sorry, but I didn't really understand what you just said. Can you explain it a bit more? Simply put, you're being protected by a special power." Then, she delivered the final blow. "Once it fades away, you will die." He burst into tears and begged, "What? Doctor, what am I supposed to do now?" Tianjin coldly handed him a body donation consent form and said, "You can sign this body donation agreement." Feeling completely helpless, he screamed, "You can't just joke about this. A human life is at stake here." Clutching the paper, he complained, "How can you just tell someone to give up on living?" He read down to the very last line, "Diagnosis and treatment recommendation, body donation." He stared at the results in utter disbelief. "At least try to treat me first." Tianjin completely dismissed him. "My diagnosis is already crystal clear." Hearing her words, he thought to himself, "Diagnosis. Spiritual energy value is 0. Unidentified energy detected. Could that shady underworld guy be playing tricks on me?" Tianjin ruthlessly advised him, "Stop struggling." Ignoring his panic, she pointed and said, "Sign right here. Just sacrifice your body for medical science." He threw the paper away. "No way, I'm not signing. I was perfectly healthy before this," Tianjin explained wearily. "From a medical standpoint, you're just a corpse that hasn't fully died yet." He replied, "I'm actually perfectly fine. I can still be saved, look." But the moment he finished speaking, he coughed up blood. Cough, cough, cough. Shaking like a leaf, he quickly tried to change the subject. In short, I will never believe this diagnosis." Tianjin frowned and pursed her lips in annoyance, which only made him want to tease her even more. "No matter how I look at you, you're definitely a minor. All right, stop playing chief of medicine and call a real doctor out here." The moment the words left his mouth, a test tube flew right at his face. Finding him incredibly annoying, she snapped, "Your primary doctor is me. If you don't want to believe it, fine." She added bitterly, "Suit yourself. Just go on living as a walking corpse." Making sure he knew he had absolutely no choice, she warned, "The moment you leave Evernight Island, that protective energy will fade away sooner or later." Shocked by his lack of spiritual energy, Shika asked back in disbelief. Tianjin's face darkened with greedy desire. "Your body will be mine sooner or later." Just then, a loud commotion echoed from the hallway. "Huh? Spiritual energy value is 0, and the medical department's recommendation is body donation?" Teacher Carbon stared at the results in anger. "Even the body donation agreement is ready. Looks like you're not far from death's door." He tried to interrupt. Actually I want." Suddenly, a voice called his name. "Shika." He looked over at the person calling him. "Ruiman, where are you going?" Ruiman broke the news with a grim expression. "We just got word from Mia. There's been a sudden incident in City S." The teacher's eyes widened as he asked, "Is it serious?" He frowns and says, "A rank." The teacher rests her chin in her hand, thinking, "That's going to be a tough nut to crack then." Meanwhile, Chiga is completely lost, wondering, "So what now?" Without beating around the bush, Ruiman says, "In short, we must head back to the Dragon Group right away to sort things out before giving you our final answer. Given your current situation, I'll be taking you to the Dragon Group for some discipline." Chiga grits his teeth and pushes back. "Hold on, Ruiman. I want to stay here." A collective gasp echoes through the spacious room. "Huh?" Standing right across from Chiga, a baffled Ruiman asks, "Did you just say you want to stay on Eternal Night Island? What's your reason?" Chijay pouts and snaps. "You keep dragging me back and forth. I'm not a piece of luggage. This leaves Ruiman even more dazed. He narrows his eyes and asks again, huh? Chiga looks away, seemingly lost in thought, and mutters, isn't it pretty nice here? Besides, he secretly thinks, if I leave Eternal Night Island, I'll probably end up dead. Caught off guard, Ruiman thinks he's joking and says, oh, come on, stop fooling around. Your spiritual energy level is literally 0. The teacher's eyes go wide too. Chiga tries to argue his case. But I had powers back on the rooftop, didn't I? The diagnosis only proves I don't have spiritual energy right now. It doesn't mean I have 0 potential, right? Seeing his point, Ruman relents. Fair enough. Fine, I won't drag you away this time. Chi-Jae's face lights up. Awesome. But Ruman raises a warning finger and adds a condition. But if you want to stay on Eternal Night Island, you have to earn your spot and pass the admission exam on your own. Kaben rubs her chin, recalling past scenes of exploding bombs and raging tsunamis. Oh, yeah, the entrance exam for Eternal Night Island is absolutely brutal and ridiculously strict. She sugarcoats it a bit so she won't completely crush Chi-Jae's spirit. But the memory of endless crowds fleeing from giant rocks falling out of the sky is still vivid in her mind. She sighs, rubbing her forehead. Even though you show some signs of being a spiritual user, with a spiritual energy level of absolute 0, there's just no way you'll pass. Chi-Jae fires back. Hey, you don't know that for sure, he adds. Either way, I'm ready to give it a shot. The two of them stare at him. Grinning with supreme confidence, he declares, how can you say something is impossible if you don't even try? Intrigued by his attitude, they both let out a soft, ooh. The Academy grounds on Eternal Night Island are massive, filled with buildings of all kinds of unique architectural designs. Keben skips along happily, humming to herself, la la la, off to register. Meanwhile, Chiga, walking right beside her, is unusually quiet. He gradually falls behind and lets out a heavy sigh. He can't help but wonder, did he get a little too carried away back there? Just a moment ago, he had stood proudly in front of them, boldly proclaiming, I'll use my own abilities to earn my spot and stay on Eternal Night Island. But then, Chiga had asked, wait, what if I fail? Ruiman had finished his sentence for him. Then I'm taking you to the Dragon Group for some strict training. Panicked, Chiga gasped, Do what now? But Ruiman just smiled and raised his hand, gesturing, bring it on. With a painful high five that stings Chi-Jae's hand, Ruiman grinned. It's a deal then. He turned to walk away, waving over his shoulder. Good luck, Chi-Jae. Tears welling up in his eyes. Chiga blows on his throbbing hand, crying, ouch! That hurts so bad. Clutching his literally smoking hand, he still tries to act tough. Don't worry. The word give up doesn't exist in Chi-Jae's dictionary. Kaben's eyes turn into sparkling stars as she gasps. Wow, talk about super confident. Back to reality, Kaben's cheerful singing echoes down the street. La 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 la, let's go sign up, off to register. Shoving his hands into his pockets, Chiga asks, Teacher Keben, you seem to be in a really good mood. She beams and replies, you bet I am. She smiles warmly. As your teacher, I really admire the determination you showed back there. His face pales as a wave of regret washes over him. He stammers, haha, thanks, Teacher Keben. But on the inside, he's screaming, I'm doomed. I totally talked a big game. Looking around to change the subject, Chiga asks out of curiosity, hey, what's that place up ahead? It looks amazing, Keben explains. That's the Academy's main building. Word has it that after the principal visited some university campuses in China, he gave it a pretty bizarre name. I think it's called the Kizi Building. Chiga can't help but burst out laughing. What's with that round thing? Is that the Academy's mascot or something? Keben looks in the direction he's pointing, totally confused. Huh? What round thing? That building is clearly a triangle. Blushing from embarrassment, he quickly corrects her. No, I didn't mean that building. Standing in front of them is a giant holographic screen, displaying a short, middle-aged man with a beard. She instantly recognizes him. Ah, that's a 3D hologram of the principal. I heard it cost a whopping $30 million. Chiga is completely speechless. He lets out a fake sigh of awe, though his face is pure mockery. Wow, your principal is incredibly expensive. Suddenly, not paying attention, he bumps right into someone. Keben looks over and sees a guy with a buzz cut and glasses. He's levitating a book in midair, looking extremely scholarly. Teacher Keben, I'm so sorry. I was too absorbed in my studies. I really should have watched where I was going. Safety first. Meanwhile, a long-haired guy next to him just waves and says, "Yo, are you bringing in a newbie, instructor?" She replied, "I'm actually heading over to register now, so I'll get going first." She walked off but turned back to give them a thumbs up, cheering them on. "Study hard and don't slack off." Shaka asked curiously, "Are they all students of Evernight Island?" Carbon replied, "That's right. Once you pass, you will be too." Suddenly, a loud shout cut her off. "Woohoo! Out of the way!" In the distance, something like a sphere was rolling toward them at high speed, kicking up a massive cloud of dust in its wake. Everyone scrambled to get out of the way. Shakya looked confused. Huh? As it rolled past a group of girls, it blew their skirts right up. Holding their dresses down, they screamed, "Ah, Zhujiang, you absolute pervert." A guy with a buzz cut had his book blown away by the wind. "Hey, my book." Some weird guy bent his back backward into a circle, easily dodging it. And bend. Carbon immediately stepped in front of it, angrily warning, "How dare you use your abilities to break the rules right in front of your teacher? Do you not want to graduate?" Shakya wasn't nearly as sturdy. He was knocked flat by the gust of wind. "Whoa, whoa, whoa." She blocked it with both hands, shouting, "Stop right there." She hoisted it up, and a crackle of electricity surged. The sphere desperately begged, "Sob, sob, I'm sorry. Teacher Carbon, spare my life." On the ground now lay a charred, chubby figure with a bald head that was still smoking. Someone cheered in satisfaction. "Classic Zhujiang, serves him right. He always has to show off." Shakya looked on with concern. Is he going to be okay?" Seizing the opportunity, two people started stomping on the guy to vent their anger. "You almost ruined my library books." "Squash him." Carbon chuckled casually. Don't worry, someone will be by to clean this up in a bit." They kept walking, when she suddenly gasped, "Oh crap!" He asked, "What is it?" She scratched her head, playfully sticking out her tongue. "Admissions registration just closed." He immediately panicked. "Wait, what? Then what am I supposed to do?" She shook her head, acting like her hands were tied. Suddenly, footsteps approached from behind them. It was a remarkably handsome young man. He offered a warm, friendly smile. "Excuse me, do you two need any help?" Carbon blushed, swooning. "Oh my, the freshmen this year are so handsome." Shakya agreed. "Yeah. But wait, who are you?" As the sunset bathed the academy's sky, a voice suddenly asked, "Are you a freshman this year?" He flashed a smile, and the air around them seemed to turn a rosy pink. "Hello, teacher. I'm Simon F. Gruber. It looks like you guys are having some trouble?" Carbon replied, still in high spirits. "Oh, it's nothing major. This kid just missed the registration window." Shakya glared at her. "And you're actually laughing?" Simon replied, "Ah, I see." He added with a look of regret, "Then it looks like you won't be able to check into the dorms tonight." Shakya gasped in shock. "Huh? Is that true?" He turned back to Carbon and pointed at himself. "Hey, instructor, don't just stand there looking so calm." "What am I supposed to do now?" she casually suggested. Hee, don't worry, I'll take care of the registration part. But for tonight, why don't you find a nice, comfortable bench?" Shakya's eyes widened. "Say what?" Simon held up two fingers and offered, "If you don't mind, my dorm has 2 rooms, no need to worry." Before the matter was even fully settled, Carbon decisively turned around and walked away. "All right, I'll be off then." Seeing that he had a place to stay for the night, Shakya quickly bowed 90 degrees, utterly relieved. "Thank you so much." He gave a warm smile. "Haha, let me lead the way then." They walked along together. He asked out of curiosity, "Simon, what exactly is this spiritual power anyway?" He looked surprised. "Oh? You don't know what spiritual power is?" He stroked his chin and explained, "Spiritual power is one of the 2 great laws of this world. 4 patterns, with 4 different colors, represented earth, fire, water, and wood. No matter how the world changes, elements and power remain eternal. Elements build the world, and the power that controls those elements is spiritual power." Shakya recalled a dark, shadowy figure. The person in his dream had said the exact same thing, but he never told him that the power to control elements was called spiritual power. Simon concluded, "You could say it's a gift from the gods." Shakya was surprised. "Wait, what does this have to do with the gods?" He explained, "Legend has it that humans didn't always have spiritual power. The scattered beams of light falling from the heavens are actually the remains of fallen gods, descending to the mortal realm. Only those who carry their divine brand possess spiritual power. That light merged into humans, and every spiritual power user has a chance to unlock the divine brand, inheriting the full legacy of a god's power. As the sigil gradually appeared on their bodies, they would become a spirit lord, possessing power several-fold, even hundreds of times greater than a regular user. Countless people, each with vastly different abilities. Powerful spirit lords stand at the very peak of human existence. They look down on the world with pride, controlling the fate of mankind. Shaka imagined it with excitement, to think they can do absolutely anything. That's so cool. Hehehe. If only I could become a spirit lord. Simon could only smile helplessly at his reaction. He suddenly asked, "Oh, by the way, what's your Esper ability?" Simon's eyes lit up, glowing purple. "Me? It's basically 5.0 vision." He gave him a searching look. Anyone who made it to this exam was definitely not ordinary. "Right, Chica?" Chica stammered nervously. "Ah, yeah, right." He turned his head to avoid his gaze, walking stiffly like a robot, as he quickly changed the subject. "I wonder what we're actually testing on," Simon replied. "Well, tomorrow is the ability ranking assessment. The following 2 days will be the limit test and the written exam." Chica clutched his chest, feeling like he was about to cough up blood. "An ability ranking? Does that mean they're testing our spiritual energy?" "I'm dead. I am so dead." Standing in room 2083, his eyes went wide as he gasped. "Whoa! The dorms on Evernight Island are this luxurious? Being an Esper is seriously the best." Simon didn't seem to share his enthusiasm, chuckling. "Haha, yeah, I guess it's decent." Chica joyfully hugged 2 anime character pillows with both arms. "No way. They actually have these?" The official Julie and Captain pillow set. Simon stood at the doorway, feeling a bit awkward. "Ah, ha ha, you like those? You can have them." Chica looked up, suddenly feeling a bit embarrassed. "Huh? Really? But these are limited edition. Are you sure?" Simon waved his hand dismissively. "Don't worry about it, seriously." In reality, he was breaking a cold sweat. How on earth did this stuff get here? Did Instructor Diana set this up? He quickly said goodbye. "Well, get some rest. See you tomorrow." Chica beamed. "Thanks. Sorry for bothering you tonight." Simon closed the door, while Chica's humming could still be heard from inside. Simon peered through the crack of the door. Even the eye of Horus can't see through this kid. The door finally closed completely. "Just don't disappoint me." Inside, Chica flopped onto his bed. Ugh. Resting his hands behind his head, he let out a heavy sigh. "I'm so exhausted. First, there's the rank assessment tomorrow." Suddenly, a dark shadow rose from beneath him. Sensing something was off, he looked up, and the sudden appearance of the shadow made his heart leap into his throat. Lucifer spoke with arrogance. "Foolish human." The Lord pulled up his hood. "It's me." Chica froze. "You?" Once he realized who it was, his jaw dropped in surprise. How are you here?" Lucifer explained. "I am always with you." Confused, Chica asked, "Seriously, my lord, who exactly are you? And what do you want with me?" The entity stood before him, cold and detached. He replied, "I am you, and you are me. When the time is right, you will understand." Chica quickly raised his hand. "This crest, and the power, coursing through my body. Did you do this to me too?" Lucifer denied it. "It was not me, it was your own choice." Chica blinked, dumbfounded. "My choice?" The Lord recalled the moment Chica lay helpless on the ground. "Deep within your subconscious, you begged me to save you. Have you forgotten?" The Lord manifested. He channeled something into Chica's body. "On that rooftop, it was because you desperately wanted to live that you accepted my power and activated the Codex of Origin Creation." A red aura materialized in the Lord's palm. "Now, the blade has transformed into your crest. You and I will coexist in this world." Chica interrupted. "Wait a second. That was actually a different blade, wasn't it?" As the red aura gradually took the shape of a dagger, the Lord remained silent. Surprised by Chica's sharp intuition, Lucifer said, "The true edge of the god-slaying blade. It is something you are not yet ready to witness," Chica admired. "Whoa, that's a cool name." He scratched his head, flustered. "All right, fine. Let's just say I was the one who asked you to turn me into this. But what about me now?" He knit his brows, seeking confirmation. "Can I actually be considered an Esper?" The Lord scoffed, annoyed. "How can you get so hung up on such a pointless question? Let me ask you, what is an Esper?" Chika stroked his chin, recalling Kabon's explanation. Someone who bears the mark of a god, who possesses spiritual energy and can control the elements. Lucifer coaxed him. You possess my crest and the cosmic formation. With the codex of origin creation, you can control the elements infinitely. All you have to do is accept it. The Lord painted a highly tempting future, one that anyone would fall for. You will become an Esper, the greatest the world has ever seen. Chika leaped up in excitement, declaring naively, Yes, I will. If I can control the elements through the codex of origin creation, then it doesn't even matter if I don't have spiritual energy. The Lord instantly blew his fuse. He zapped Chika with a bolt of lightning so intense it practically showed his bones. Fool! Chika lay on the floor, smoking and battered, shivering uncontrollably. Stop being so naive, Lucifer warned. The Codex of Origin Creation can help you unlock the gates to the Esper world, but it cannot guarantee your safety. The Lord crushed Chika's budding confidence. Those who covet its power can still crush you like an insect. Chika struggled to lift his head, whining, Then what am I supposed to do? Images of a regular human's grueling path of hard work flashed by choosing the most foolish yet resilient path known to mankind. Train and fight. Chika listened intently. As your own physical strength grows, you will slowly unlock the true potential of the Codex of Origin Creation. Chika slumped his head in defeat. Well, that's easy for you to say. He felt completely uneasy. But my spiritual energy level is 0. How am I supposed to pass tomorrow's exam? If he doesn't pass, he'll be kicked off Evernight Island. Suddenly, a clever idea pops into his head. He glides over to Lucifer and whispers, Hey, great deity, tomorrow the director will know exactly what you're thinking. Lucifer immediately rejects him. No way. Shigia strikes a delicate pose, pretending to be weak and tearing up like a drama queen. Aw, you didn't even think about it before turning me down. That is so mean. Lucifer shudders and yells, I am not helping you cheat. He then flies up and gradually vanishes. Remember, guard my secret, and don't tell a soul. He fades away, leaving behind only half of his face. Otherwise, a great disaster will strike. Meanwhile, in Zurich, Switzerland, luxury villas stand side by side, their lights glowing brightly in the dark night. Through the glass window, a girl can be seen soaking in a bathtub. Hearing something shocking, she suddenly stands up in disbelief and demands, What did you say? Her sheer rage shatters the glass. Pedestrians below look up in shock as her voice echoes, Shut up. Alert the National Intelligence Center. Find him for me. Determination flares in Mary's eyes as she says, I won't let you slip away from me, Shigia. Zurich, Jiushan Mingdao, a secret monitoring center. As the radar screen scans, an order rings out. Expand the search area to the Pan-Asia region and initiate network control. The commander standing behind them asks in confusion, How could someone just vanish into thin air? His subordinates work frantically, dripping with sweat, as he yells to urge them on. We must find him before Lady Mary completely loses her mind. In the massive operations room, countless agents are hard at work, constantly reporting their screening results. Southeast Asia is clear, currently conducting a second check. The team leader says, The screening area focused on the Pan-Asia region is way too vast. It's virtually impossible to pull this off in such a short time. Right then, a cold voice asks from behind, Have you found him yet? He gasps, Huh? The team leader turns around and goes pale, stammering at the sight of the newcomer. Lady Mary, what brings you here in person? She gives a dark, threatening smile. If you don't find Shigia, none of you will get out of this alive. He desperately stammers, Please, forgive us. We are doing everything we can. Then, he hurriedly reports, Lady Mary, we have a new lead. It looks like the target was taken by China's Dragon Division. She falls silent, deep in thought. Surprised, Mary mutters, The Dragon Division? They must have mistaken Shigia for a run-of-the-mill Esper. She orders, Find out where they took him. The team leader immediately runs off. Right away, ma'am. Scanning the map, he announces, Found him. The target is currently in the Western Pacific, at latitude 21 degrees 34 minutes north. The team leader recognizes the location and panics. Lady Mary, this place seems to be. As an image of an island pops up on the screen, he says, Evernight Island. Mary's expression turns grave. Evernight Island. The absolute worst-case scenario has happened. Back in the year 1999, right after the Doomsday Prophecy, Two figures stood talking in the pouring rain. He has returned. It is destiny. The world will be reborn from its own destruction. Lai Yuanbao, you can't stop this. The cloaked man lets out a bizarre laugh. I don't care if this entire world is buried with you, but you are not dragging my Evernight Island into it. This man is the headmaster, he declares. So I will never let you have your way with his cursed fate. Snapping back to the present, she thinks to herself, I absolutely cannot let Shijia fall into that old man's hands. She makes a swift decision, bring him back to me, no matter the cost. The team leader bows respectfully. Yes, ma'am. Suddenly, a subordinate reports, Evernight Island has an anti-signal firewall, but we might be able to tap into their exclusive news channel. Mary suddenly remembers something and stops them. Wait a minute. She surmises that since the Dragon Division brought him there, Lai Yuanbao probably doesn't know the situation yet. She tells them to change plans and stop the intrusive search. The team leader complies, though still slightly puzzled. Understood, Lady Mary. But why the sudden change? She explains, the most critical thing right now is to avoid drawing that old man's attention. Awkwardly, he asks for guidance. Then how should we monitor the target? She turns and walks away. That's why we need someone else to do the job for us. Mary glances back at him calmly. Someone who can get close to Shijia without raising any suspicion. Hearing this, the team leader is stunned. She smiles, clearly having a plan mapped out, and the perfect candidate would, of course, be someone from Evernight Island itself. She sits down to read the files while the team leader stands beside her, bowing slightly. Mary flips through the profiles until she finally finds what she is looking for. Staring at a page with a young girl's details, Mary breathes out with deep intrigue. Meanwhile, over Evernight Island, countless deep-sea creatures are swimming across the sky. At that moment, a massive whale glides past. Its eye is wide open, staring intently at the figure, standing in front of the glass. As the giant whale swims closer and closer, the headmaster stands in complete silence. Then, a sudden smile broke across his face, the whale's pupils reflecting the image of the director. He let out a creepy, distorted laugh that rattled through his twisted face. Someone walked up and asked, Why are you sighing, Director? Are you paying attention to Shika? I see an ill omen in the night sky. A great disaster is about to rain down on Eternal Night Island. This man is Fa Sheng, the head of the equipment department on Eternal Night Island. Seeing Fa Sheng's confusion, the director sighed helplessly and walked away. Never mind. What's that you're holding? He handed the folder over and explained, Oh, this? It's the file on this year's candidates. He flipped through the pages one by one and asked curiously, Hey, Adu, do you have any hobbies at all besides working? Well, I listen to music, Fa Sheng replied. I actually listened to the piece by Niccolò Paganini that you recommended, the one about the legendary violinist who sold his soul to the devil for his extraordinary skills. He was an Italian violinist, you know. The director laughed. Ha! That was no legend. He continued, I heard there are actually a few candidates born in '99, but none of them are from S City. A profile sheet slipped out, showing a photo of Simon. Fa Sheng hesitated before probing. Do you really think the reincarnated demon god from the prophecy of '99 would actually come to Eternal Night Island to study before destroying the world? The director wasn't so sure himself. He frowned. Well, Fa Sheng waited silently for an answer. But the director just turned and walked away awkwardly. I'm just taking precautions. My gut feelings are always spot on. The director jumped onto his bed with a heavy flop and sighed. Forget it. I'm not going to overthink this. After all, as long as Eternal Night Island stands, he gave a thumbs up, looking for some reassurance. The demon god can never truly be resurrected, right? Adu closed his eyes and replied calmly, Let's hope so. Meanwhile, over in the dorms, achoo! Shika sneezed loudly, sniffing as his nose started to run. He wiped his nose with his hand. Don't tell me I'm catching a cold, he muttered. My exam is tomorrow. I absolutely cannot get sick right now. He clasped his hands together over his head and began to pray. Oh, great God, please watch over me. I have to pass tomorrow, no matter what. Suddenly, a stream of water pooled in his palm. Let's try that again, he muttered, tracing his finger to draw the water into a line. Suddenly, more and more water began to swirl around him. Shika's eyes widened as a sphere of water formed right in front of his chest, while a glowing magic circle materialized behind his back. He gasped in shock. This is the ancient elemental reconstruction art. I can actually still control the water element. The water bubbled as the sphere began to shrink, getting smaller and smaller by the second. Excitement rushed through him, and he couldn't help but feel like a total genius. Wow, this is actually so easy. Am I some kind of prodigy? The water droplets hovered in the air, bubbling softly. Shika burst into a joyous laugh. Ha ha ha, I'm definitely going to become a psychic and live the good life. Suddenly, furious shouts and complaints erupted from the neighboring rooms. Hey, what are you losing your mind over in the middle of the night? Are you going to let us sleep or what? If you don't want to sleep, get the hell out. You looking for a beating? The next morning, all the candidates gathered at the training facility on Eternal Night Island for the entrance exam. The massive doors slowly creaked open, and brilliant light flooded the room as the crowd filed inside. Shika's jaw dropped in absolute awe. Whoa. He looked around the room, which was packed with candidates. There are way too many people here. Shika squeezed his way through the crowd, taking in his surroundings. With this many people here, aren't psychics supposed to be a rare breed? Just as the thought crossed his mind, a voice called out from behind. You just awakened, didn't you? A blonde guy walked up to him and said, Word is only 1 in 500 people is a psychic these days. He introduced himself. I'm Zhao Yao, but everyone calls me Da Yao. I'm from B City, China. He replied, I'm Shika. You can just call me Shika. Wait, did he just mishear my name as Seven? Da Yao pointed to the crowd behind them. Don't let all these people fool you. The ones who actually make it onto Eternal Night Island are the absolute elite of the elite. Just then, a voice called out from the distance. Hey, Da Yao. 2 guys and a girl walked over, and Da Yao grinned. You guys showed up at the perfect time. Let me introduce you. This is Shika. The girl with glasses stammered, S7. He went on to introduce them one by one. This is Cheetos. He has an earth-type hardening ability, and his jaw can literally turn into a drill. Cheetos tapped the brim of his cap and playfully stuck out his tongue. Hey there, Da Yao continued. And this is Oreo. Wind type. With a refractive energy shield. She can blend into any environment like a chameleon. She seemed quite introverted, blushing as she whispered, Hello. And last but not least, this is Char Siu. The chubby guy was slurping on a drink, his cheeks puffing as he exhaled. Shika asked curiously, Wow, you guys sound amazing. So, Char Siu, what's your ability? The chubby guy gave a shy chuckle. He, I'm from Guangdong. I can pretty much eat anything. Oreo blushed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. But Da Yao's ability is easily the most amazing of us all. Da Yao puffed out his chest proudly. Haha, you bet it is. He tossed a coin into the air. Watch closely, I'm about to show you what I've got. He clasped his hands together, and when he opened them, the coin had turned glowing red and was completely melting away. My ability is fire type, and my maximum temperature can reach 1600 degrees Celsius. Even metal melts at that heat. Shijia watched Zhao Yao's hand burst into flames and praised him. Wow, that's awesome. But Zhao Yao just pretended to be humble. Haha, it's nothing special. Suddenly, Sha Xiao opened his mouth wide to take a deep breath, and the chubby guy blew on the fiery coin with all his might, sending it flying. The others watched in utter panic. The coin was heading straight for someone's head nearby. He screamed in warning, Whoa, watch out, you're gonna burn someone. Shijia immediately waved his hands to summon water. I've got this. Ancient tome origin art. The guy spun around in shock, only to see 2 elements rushing straight for his face. He took Shijia's water spell right to the face, completely speechless. The fiery coin was successfully extinguished and fell to the ground. Shijia remained frozen in his spell-casting pose, totally embarrassed by the awkward situation. It counts as a success, right? Maybe so. But Ren angrily grabbed Shijia by the collar. You little brat. Are you playing with a water gun with me? Shijia turned pale and quickly stammered, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Suddenly, a hand was placed on Ren's shoulder to stop him. That's enough. He silently lowered his head and clicked his tongue. Ren let go of Shijia and sneered, Consider yourself lucky. Get lost. Shijia fell flat onto the floor with a thud. Ah. Shijia lay on the ground as everyone walked right over him. Edward glared at him arrogantly. Someone like you, he sneered, actually dares to call yourself a water Esper? Oreo and Zhao Yao helped Shijia back to his feet. Hearing this, Shijia flew into a rage. What did you say? Fuming, he was about to charge forward to pick a fight. Stop right there. What the hell do you mean by that? Who do you think you are? Zhao Yao frantically held him back, trying to calm him down. All right, calm down. Suddenly, Ren was sent flying into the air, coughing up blood. Ugh, arg. Everyone's eyes locked onto him as he crashed hard on his back. Everyone froze, instantly feeling the pain just by looking at him. Then, a figure appeared and startled them all. It was Ye Xiaoxiao. She brushed her hands as if she had just touched something filthy. The surrounding crowd stared with wide eyes, absolutely shocked. So strong. Who is this girl? He had picked the wrong person to mess with. Ren gritted his teeth, veins popping on his forehead, and let out a cold snort. He threw all his strength into launching himself straight at her. The ground shattered beneath his feet, and countless rocks gathered around his hands. Stone gradually covered his entire body, turning him into a stone giant. He raised his fist. "You brat!" Shijia and his group broke into a cold sweat. He's really going for it. Meanwhile, Ye Xiaoxiao calmly drew her sword. "Know your place." Just as the two were about to clash, a loud voice suddenly echoed, "Everyone, stop!" A series of blue energy spheres, connected by crackling black lightning, suddenly surrounded them. Ye Xiaoxiao stared in shock. Ren instantly halted his attack. "What is this?" He was suddenly crushed flat against the floor by intense gravity, completely unable to move. Oreo pointed frantically. "Hey, look over there." Everyone turned around at once. Shijia murmured blankly, "Someone's coming." 4 people walked out of the light right in front of the new students. In the palm of the leader's hand hovered the energy sphere. He spoke up. "Didn't your teachers inform you that the evaluation committee would be visiting the training hall today?" The room suddenly fell dead silent. Everyone locked their eyes on the newcomers. The young man announced, "To the student who broke the floor tiles, please make sure to fill out a compensation form later. Meet our academic supervisor and our financial director." Nangong Se. Oreo's eyes instantly turned into hearts as she gazed at the judge in pure admiration. To think that was Nangong Se, who became a super-powered spirit lord at only 25 years old. Shijia looked up, lost in thought. Is this what a true powerhouse looks like? Nangong Se gave a gentle warning, "Don't let it happen again," and casually waved his hand. Ren was still struggling. "Arg, let go." Ye Xiaoxiao watched as the black energy bands slowly began to dissolve. Once the restraint was lifted, Ren roared in fury. "Damn it! Do you have any idea who I am? This isn't over." But in an instant, his face went completely pale. His clothes had been completely shredded to pieces. I will destroy you." Ye Xiaoxiao barely paid him any attention. "Oh." A figure stepped forward. "That's enough," Nangong Se warned. "Evernight Island is no place for you to throw tantrums." Old Monster Ning stood beside him, stroking his beard with amusement. Diana chimed in. "Oh my, Nangong Se, you are so fierce." She playfully stuck out her tongue to lick her fingertip. "Hey," she giggled. "This year's candidates are actually quite adorable." She was Diana, Evernight Island's practical training instructor. Beside her, Evernight Island's theory instructor, Old Monster Ning, frowned and let out a cold huff. At that moment, Shijia noticed someone stealthily hiding a piece of paper behind their back. Is Teacher Ki Ben one of this year's judges too? Shijia wondered, confused. What is she doing? She carefully placed Shijia's registration slip onto the stack of papers. Since she hadn't turned in his registration slip yesterday, slipping it in secretly right now was her perfect chance. She pretended to whistle while looking around. Perfect. Nobody noticed a thing. If they catch me, I'm toast. She praised herself mentally. Mission accomplished. I'm a genius. Nangong Se's voice cut through her thoughts. Ki Ben, what are you standing there spacing out for? It's your turn. Hearing her name, she jumped in surprise. Yes, sir. He shot her a suspicious look. She raised her voice and introduced herself. My name is Ki Ben. As the guardian of Evernight Island's safety, I am in charge of discipline at this exam site. She raised her index finger to the sky, hyping up the crowd. The examinees below immediately cheered in response. Gongse then began explaining that the exam would be divided into 3 rounds. Everyone listened in dead silence, terrified of missing a single detail. We will decide whether you can enter Evernight Island based on your overall performance. He then called out, Elder Ning, it's all yours. The old man put on a serious look. He smiled and cleared his throat. Cough, cough. The first round will test the absolute limits of your elemental perception. He continued, this is to evaluate your spiritual energy talent level. Everyone gasped in surprise. Wait, what? Their bodies suddenly shook as a blinding ring of light erupted right in the middle of the crowd. An earthquake? What's happening? Look! Look over there! What is that? They watched as the glowing ring expanded, unleashing a massive pillar of light that shot straight into the heavens. What on earth is this? Shijia's jaw dropped in shock. Whoa! 4 primeval totem beasts are appearing in the sky. The giant dragon represented the earth element, Zhao Hua. The beast with razor-sharp fangs and claws was the fire element, Fentian. The creature with a tiger's body, an eagle's head, and massive spread wings was the wind element, Shuangkong. Finally, the water element, Shuanghua, took the form of a long-tailed ice bird. Everyone strained to look, shielding their eyes from the intense glare. It's too bright, I can't see. Meanwhile, a mark on Shijia's chest began to flicker. Huh? Why does my chest feel so hot all of a sudden? As the light gradually faded, everyone stood frozen in absolute shock. Shijia's jaw dropped. Oh my god, are those divine beasts? He quickly turned to ask Zhao Yao, hey, what on earth are those things? But Zhao Yao's face was flushed red, and he was drooling like a total drunkard. Zhao Yao, what is wrong with you? When did you even have time to drink? Shijia frantically shook his shoulders. Wake up. Are you okay? Zhao Yao mumbled sleepily. I really want to go over there. Shijia looked around and was shocked to see everyone else in the exact same dazed state. Wait, why is everyone acting like this? Suddenly, Ye Xiaoxiao brushed past and bumped into his shoulder. All the examinees were moving toward the same destination, looking completely hypnotized. Shijia thought to himself, it's that girl from earlier. She looks out of it too. He immediately grabbed her arm to stop her, yelling, Stop! Don't go any further! Elder Ning sneered in contempt. What a bunch of useless brats. The three-headed staff in his hand opened its mouths, revealing sharp fangs, and unleashed a barrage of lightning bolts. The examinees immediately clutched their heads in pain. The teachers sighed in disappointment. Sigh, seriously, it's the same story every single year. Fortunately, after a brief moment, everyone snapped out of it. Everyone looked around in confusion. Huh? What just happened? Elder Ning cleared his throat to regain their attention. Ahem. Cough. Cough. He calmly stroked his beard, then frowned in annoyance. Quiet down. As spiritual energy users, it is completely normal to be mesmerized by elemental totems. What are you all panicking for? Shijia silently wondered. Wait, it didn't seem to affect me at all. Just then, Ye Xiaoxiao nudged him. You can let go of my arm now. He panicked and quickly released her. Oh, I'm so sorry. She turned to leave, but paused for a brief second before saying, Thanks. For earlier. Elder Ning smiled excitedly and announced, What you see before you is a three-dimensional hologram. This is the testing barrier. A freshman named Oreo stepped forward. He instructed, Step inside the barrier. Nervous, she adjusted her glasses and asked, And then what do I do? Zhuangkong manifested, and Oreo's entire body was enveloped in a bright green light within the barrier. The examinee is now establishing a neural connection with the elemental totem. She stood there in a daze, completely clueless. By stimulating your elemental limits, we will evaluate your innate talent. She slowly opened her eyes as the system announcement blared. Oreo, talent rating, C, wind attribute. She let out a massive sigh of relief. Phew, haha, I passed. Chu Xiao threw her up in the air to celebrate, shouting, Hell yeah. Next up was Zhao Yao, who clutched his head in panic the second he heard his name. Clenching his fist, he confidently declared, No way I'm getting eliminated. Just watch me. And the result was exactly as expected. Zhao Yao, talent rating, B, fire attribute. The announcements kept rolling in. Lu Hu, talent rating, unqualified, water attribute. Watching from below, Shijia said in awe, Wow, a B is currently the highest score in the entire venue. That is so cool. Zhao Yao rubbed the back of his neck modestly. Ha ha ha, it's not a big deal, really. Oreo added, You're amazing. Suddenly, Chu Xiao pointed in shock. Whoa, look over there. Zhao Hua was hovering right in front of Ye Xiaoxiao. Ye Xiaoxiao, talent rating, A, earth attribute. Her expression remained completely calm, as if she already knew the result. Suddenly, someone rudely shoved through the crowd, shouting, Move it! Don't block the way! Cheetos was shoved so hard he spun around. Ow, hey. Then, one of the guys walked right up to Shijia and snapped, Out of the way, brat. This made Shijia's blood boil. You guys again? You think having a crowd makes you big shots? Who do you think you are, walking around with that trash attitude? Edward's bodyguards quickly held Shijia back as the others cleared a path for Edward, who walked past without saying a word. But the guy just glared back at him with pure disdain. Shaka frowned in confusion, keeping quiet as tension filled the air. Next up was Edward. The candidate stepped into the barrier and began his test. Zhao Yao looked on with eager anticipation, while Shika crossed his arms, glared, and scoffed. Humph, what's so special about this guy anyway? If he's so tough, let's see him get an A rank. Just look at this pampered rich kid. But then, Shika's eyes widened as a frosty mist materialized right in front of the guy. An announcement echoed through the room. Edward Zosman, water element, A rank aptitude. Yet, Edward remained completely unfazed. Zhao Yao gasped in shock. Whoa, you actually called it. Are you some kind of psychic or what? Those words felt like an arrow piercing straight through Shika's chest. He practically coughed up blood, forced to begrudgingly admit, ugh, that bastard is actually the real deal. Edward stood there, completely calm, yet even from a distance, everyone could feel the sheer, freezing pressure radiating from him. Shika gritted his teeth in envy. So this was the true power of an A-rank water elementalist. Gongse spoke up. With the name Joseph. Is he the successor of the Rose family? Old Monster Ning chimed in with praise. Such raw talent. It's a pity he comes from that devilish family. Surprised, Kaban? The devilish family? Nangong suddenly remembered. Ah, right, because of their bizarre family tradition. Scenes of Edward's childhood began playing out around him. For generations, the Rose family had only raised the child with the absolute strongest spiritual power to become the heir of glory and sacrifice. Once the family made their choice, the siblings of the chosen heir would be secretly sacrificed, according to tradition, all to maintain the purest and most powerful Rose bloodline. Even as a child, Edward's cold demeanor was no different from today, surrounded by countless thorny rose vines. Every ounce of this family's glory was built on a foundation of sacrifice. Diana shrugged it off. Well, the details don't really matter. Heh. The spiritualist world is full of creeps and freaks anyway. As long as he's strong, who cares? Gong Se remained silent before replying coldly. Is that so? I can't say I agree. As the minutes ticked by, candidate after candidate completed their tests. The hands of the clock spun, and registration forms scattered everywhere. A few exceptional talents stood out from the crowd. First was Musashi Kumamoto, an earth elementalist with an A-rank aptitude. Next up was Simon F. Gruber, showcasing a wind element with an A-rank aptitude. Kaban chirped excitedly. Wow, the number of A-rank candidates this year is looking pretty good. Shika's jaw dropped in absolute awe. Man, they are so incredible. Oreo's eyes turned into literal hearts. He walked over, completely starstruck, and said, Whoa, Simon, I had no idea you were this amazing. Simon offered a humble smile. Ah, it's nothing special. Good luck to you, Shika. Hearing that, Shika's heart skipped a beat in panic. Ah, haha. Thanks, I'll do my best. He desperately tried to reassure himself. No, come on. It's just a simple test, right? There's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Meanwhile, Gongse was looking through the files in his hands when he noticed something off. Huh? Why is there no registration stamp on this? Hearing this, Kaban casually whistled, pretending she had absolutely nothing to do with it. He thought to himself, did Kaban slip this file in earlier? He skimmed through Shika's profile, but nothing about his stats stood out. The loudspeaker blared. Next candidate, Shika, Zhao Yao, and the others immediately started cheering at the top of their lungs. You're up, buddy. You can do this. Let's go. Shika clasped his hands, praying desperately. Please, gods, let me pass this test. He nervously stepped into the barrier, and the 4 elemental spirit beasts closed in to evaluate him. Gongse gave the signal. Begin. Below, Simon watched closely, while Kaban looked on with absolute trust in her eyes. Shika stood frozen, but his mind was in absolute chaos. Why are these elemental beasts just staring at me? Why isn't anything happening? One beast after another sniffed and examined him, but as the seconds ticked by, there was still complete silence. Watching from a distance, Kaban held her breath and silently cheered. Come on, Shika, you've got this. The crowd's jeers and insults started filling his ears. Ugh, what is taking so long? If you don't have what it takes, just get off the stage already. Did this loser wander into the wrong exam or something? Shika pointed his finger forward, trying to focus. Okay, let's try that. I can do this. I know I can. A magical array slowly began to form behind him and between his hands. Memories of his past rushed back, along with the faces of the people who believed in him. No one who came to this exam was ordinary. What? Your spiritual energy level is literally 0. You expect to qualify for admission and escape Eternal Night Island on your own? You're only going to end up dead. Shika shut his eyes tight, shouting back, No! He steeled his resolve. No, I refuse to die here. Water elements began to gather, and his eyes snapped open with fierce determination. I am going to become a spiritualist. But when he looked down at his hand, there was nothing but a tiny, pathetic splash of water. Shaka instantly froze, his soul practically shattering at the sight. Falling to his knees in utter despair, Shaka muttered, "So, I really couldn't do it after all?" But right then, the loudspeaker suddenly blared, "Shaka, aptitude evaluation." He gasped in disbelief as the voice announced, "Water element, C rank." Shaka clenched his fists in pure joy and let out a wild shout, wondering if he was just dreaming. "I passed. I actually passed." He sheepishly scratched his head, letting out a nervous laugh. "Haha, actually, I just felt a massive burst of spiritual energy." Young Master Hoa clapped his hands to congratulate him. "This is great." Cheeto starts crying tears of sorrow. "No, I am the only one who didn't make the cut. I don't want to be disqualified." Zhao Yao puts his arm around him with a chuckle. "Haha, quit joking around. A C rank is fine. I'll look out for you from now on." He scratches his head awkwardly. "Well, thanks then." Meanwhile, Cheetos squats in a corner, sulking, "You cold-hearted jerks, you all only care about Shika. Nobody cares that I failed." Young Master Hoa tries to comfort him. "Hey, we still have to finish all 3 rounds. After they look at the final evaluation, you might still stand a chance." Zhao Yao optimistically suggests, all right. Tonight's treat is on me. Let's go get some good food." They say tomorrow's round is going to be absolutely brutal. Shika secretly lets out a sigh of relief that he managed to pass the first round without any issues. He cheers himself up. Even though the results were a little lower than expected, it is still a solid start. Suddenly, a hand slams into his back. Kaban hits him so hard he coughs up blood, shouting, "Shika!" Completely ignoring his pain, she hits him on the head again, sending him face first into the dirt. "Ha ha, I knew you wouldn't disappoint me." Oreo looks at his state with worry and hesitates. "Master, is he going to be okay?" Seeing him lying there completely wrecked, Kaban scratches her head, trying to look innocent. "Huh? I barely even used any force." Simon wears a twisted, disbelieving smile. "C rank? How could this be? I clearly felt a massive surge of power just now. Are you hiding your true strength, Shika?" He is convinced that he has seen through the truth. "Just you wait. I will definitely uncover your secret." The person next to him shivers from the dark, eerie aura radiating from him. Sigh. "Simon? What's wrong?" He instantly shifts back to his warm and friendly self. "Oh, it's nothing." Diana, standing on the platform, notices him. Well. My prince seems to be staring intensely at someone." She pretends to be sympathetic. "Oh my, I really feel sorry for that poor guy." Elder Ning frowns and warns her, "Stirring up trouble on Evernight Island is strictly forbidden. Diana, you were the one who brought that Simon kid here, so you better keep him in line." She stretches and sighs. Sigh, "I can't control that guy. He's Simon. Once he sets his mind on something, nothing can stop him." She calmly explains, "It's not like I lured Simon to Evernight Island anyway. You could say everything was already within his expectations. It is just fate taking its course." She mimics a gun with 2 fingers and speculates, maybe only something that completely defies his expectations can actually catch his interest. "I wonder if his calculations include his own death." Diana aims at him as darkness creeps in. She whispers, "Bang!" Gongse coldly cuts her off. "Stop with these pointless antics, Diana." She shakes her head with a sigh. "Oh boy, you are so boring, Mr. Iceberg Nangong." He looks down at the examinees below, lost in thought. But on the other side, Kabon is scratching her head in embarrassment under Shika's protests. It is quite unusual for Gongse to show interest in that kid. Gongse recalls the scene from just moments ago. For a split second, did Changhua actually tremble and scream in agony before him? He is clearly just a C rank. He rubs his chin in deep suspicion. Did I see things wrong, or is there really something off about this candidate named Shika? Just then, the astonished gasps of the crowd interrupt his train of thought. Whoa. Who is that guy? Inside the barrier, a powerful blaze of red fire lights up the entire area. As the flames gradually fade, they reveal a person standing there. A serious-looking young man holding a sword steps onto the ground. It is Qin Ming, with an A+ fire attribute rating. As everyone watches, they are filled with confusion. A+? What kind of rank is that? I have never even heard of it. Who is this guy anyway? Shika is the only one paying no attention. He is too busy being annoyed with Kaban. For the very first time during the selection process, Gongse actually cracks a smile. It seems like there are quite a few extraordinary rookies this year. Late at night, after the first round comes to an end, all the students are fast asleep. A few rooms in the dorm are still lit up. Shika is fast asleep, hugging his knees with drool running down his face, when suddenly a deafening alarm blares. Ring! Ring! He jolts awake in a panic, cracking open his door to peer outside. What is going on? People are already rushing out of the neighboring rooms, shouting, "Run! Quickly!" Shika has absolutely no idea what is happening, but he decides to follow the crowd anyway. Why are we running outside? Is there a fire? But as soon as he steps out of the building, he sees a group of people lined up in combat uniforms. To his surprise, everyone is half asleep and nodding off. He wonders in confusion, why are there so many people here? What are we supposed to do? Once all the candidates are gathered, a man steps forward to the front. He pulls out a megaphone with a serious expression and bellows, "Everyone, assemble in the dark forest ahead. Prepare yourselves for the second round of the selection exam." The piercing noise of the megaphone instantly wakes everyone up, leaving Shika with a distorted face. His eyes went bloodshot with sheer disbelief. What? An exam? At midnight? The announcer repeated it once again. Please proceed to the Black Forest ahead immediately. The exam begins at exactly midnight. Anyone who is late will be disqualified. Shakya was completely dumbfounded. This rule is way too ridiculous. Oreo frowned in worry, saying, the Black Forest is 10 kilometers away. Before anyone could even process what was happening, a cloaked guy smirked slyly. Taking a massive leap, he laughed. Haha, smell you later, suckers. The surrounding candidates watched in awe. In the blink of an eye, he was already leaping through the tree branches, leaving everyone in the dust. Seconds later, clothes of all shapes and sizes were flying into the air. Everyone scrambled to make a run for it. Someone yelled out, "Seriously? Who wears a full, perfectly pressed outfit under their pajamas?" Shakya hurriedly scrambled after them, grumbling to himself, "These guys are so annoying. Whatever, no time to complain. I just have to give it everything I have got." Suddenly, a voice called out, "Shakya, get up here." It was Cha Xiao, a class wind user who had inflated himself into a giant balloon to carry Zhao Yao and the others. He reached down, shouting, "Grab my hand." Shakya quickly grabbed it as Cha Xiao's face turned beet red. "Gotcha." He blasted off like a rocket, leaving a massive trail of dust in his wake. Shakya let out a terrified scream, "Ah!" But as they soared, he could not help but stare in awe at the gorgeous, starry night sky. Zhao Yao grinned, "Man, thank goodness we have Cha Xiao. Otherwise, we would be down there eating dust with the rest of those losers. Seriously, looking down from up here, they just look like a bunch of tiny black ants crawling around." While everyone else was running on foot, Simon was tearing up the track in a super sleek sports car. Shakya yelled in pure jealousy, "What the hell is that? How the heck does someone even get a sports car at the bottom of the ocean?" After a while, they finally arrived, and Cha Xiao came in for a landing with a massive crash. He literally face-planted to land, completely flattening Shakya underneath him. With his head spinning, Shakya groaned, Thanks. For the free ride. They ended up piled on top of each other like a human pyramid. Suddenly, a broadcast chimed, "Welcome to the Black Forest theme park." The Black Forest was the entrance to Evernight Island artificial training grounds. The massive gate, woven from living trees, glowed with a mystical green light. Standing on top of it, a girl smirked. Well, quite a crowd we have here." She looked down at them and declared, "Let us get right into the second round." This was Diana, Evernight Island, head of practical training. As everyone listened intently, she raised her voice. "Your task is simple. Survive and cross the Black Forest." She flashed a thrilling smile. Shakya and his friends braced themselves. They had to make it through before sunrise. The atmosphere around her suddenly turned dark and menacing. "You are free to use any method, any underhanded trick, to pass this test." Simon remained cool and collected, while Edward and Ye Xiaoxiao looked completely unfazed. Meanwhile, the other candidates began wearing sinister grins. They were practically shaking with dark excitement, ready to do whatever it takes. Just then, the gate flashed with a blinding light. "Only the first 100 survivors to make it out will pass. Anyone else will be disqualified immediately." She added, "Remember, Evernight Island only welcomes the strong." A hand reached through the portal, and Shakya closed his eyes, taking a step forward. Ouch. He looked around in a daze, finding himself surrounded by dense woods and glowing fireflies. Phew! Where the heck am I? Wait, did we not all enter together? Where did everyone go? He shouted into the darkness. Zhao Yao, Cha Xiao, Oreo, Cheetos. Where are you guys? Out of the thick fog in the distance, a blurry figure emerged. Simon walked out calmly, muttering, "Looks like I am lost." He squinted at the floating lights in the air. They were clearly illusions meant to throw people off and mess with their heads. "I need to get out of here, fast." Closing his eyes, he pressed 2 fingers against his forehead as a purple emblem began to glow. Eye of Horus. With this power, he could see through all of space and time. Suddenly, a massive web of glowing, interconnected threads appeared before his eyes. Huh? This forest actually has 12 different exits. With a fiery glow in his eyes, Simon reached into his coat to grab something. But which one actually leads out of here? Pulling out an antique pocket watch, he muttered with a hint of doubt, "Is this thing even accurate?" Somewhere else in the forest, a mass of thorny vines came alive. Shaka found himself completely tangled up. Struggling to break free, he cried out in pain, "Ah, ow, 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 that hurts." He kept looking around as he walked. Damn it, why cannot I find the others? There is literally nothing but thorns in every direction. He picked up a thick, broken tree branch. A creepy place like this has got to have some kind of monster, right? At least this will make a decent weapon. Suddenly, he heard a rustling on a nearby tree trunk. A snake-like phantom beast hissed, baring its fangs to strike. Shaka panicked. Whoa, but what happened next was incredibly bizarre. With just 2 fingers, Shaka effortlessly pinched the snake by its neck. He stood there, completely dumbfounded. Looking at its tiny, pathetic size, he could not help but chuckle. Wait, is this supposed to be the scary forest monster? It totally freaked me out. Despite being caught, the tiny snake kept writhing and hissing fiercely. But as he took a closer look at this little creature, something clicked. He recalled the first exam. This thing looked suspiciously similar to the earth elemental totem he had seen before, the creation of earth itself. Wait, is this little guy an earth elemental beast too? Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet began to glow brightly. Shaka gasped. What is happening? The ground trembled, and the tiny snake in his hand suddenly went wild with rage. The clock struck 1 a.m. This is the 32nd death in the forest of the Miracle Tower. In the control room lit by the moonlight, inside the tower, Cabone is fast asleep, completely oblivious to the world. Elsewhere, Diana and Old Monster Ning sit comfortably, closely watching the new students. She speaks up. Well, rookies are always my favorite. That fresh, young energy is absolutely intoxicating. Old Monster Ning replies, "So, the exam ground is a dark forest packed with traps. You really show these newbies no mercy at all, do you?" She giggles. "Oh, come on. It is precisely because they are rookies that we must be strict with them." Then, Diana turns her gaze toward a panicked Shijia, her voice dripping with a twisted excitement. "Fight, make it brutal. Young buds are so much more beautiful when they are drenched in blood. Only the one who solves the puzzle correctly can earn a warm welcome as a new student." Back to Shijia's battle, a dazzling light suddenly bursts forth, making him gasp. Whoa, something is gradually taking shape. What is this? Suddenly, the mysterious energy condenses into a giant serpent phantom beast right before Shijia's eyes, paralyzing him with fear. "Boss, I'm sorry, my bad." Quickly shaking off his panic, he realizes he has to find a way out of here, fast. The beast lets out a heavy hiss that turns his face completely pale. Without wasting a second, Shijia scrambles to his feet and runs for his life. The giant serpent roars and chases after him. "Help! Somebody help me!" Before he can get far, the beast's tail suddenly whips him, sending a jolt of agony through his body. Arg! In an instant, Shijia is sent flying through the air. The phantom beast's raw power is immense. With just one strike, Shijia is sent crashing through the woods, snapping several ancient trees in half. Bruised and battered, he struggles to stand up, leaning against a tree trunk. Is this for real? I feel like my bones are about to shatter. He tries to steady his breathing. No, get it together. This is an exam. I have to fight back. Shijia prepares his technique to strike back at the beast. But before his ancient tome construction can even form, the serpent lunges forward with its jaws wide open, ready to swallow him whole, freezing him in place. The next second, both man and beast crash through the forest, leaving a trail of fallen trees in their wake. The phantom beast throws its full weight forward, while Shijia trembles, desperately trying to hold it back. Using every ounce of his strength, he grabs its massive fangs with his hands while bracing his feet against its lower jaw. Stay! Stay back! He screams, pouring every last bit of energy into resisting the beast's crushing weight. Where is my protagonist armor when I need it? Blackblade deity, you said you'd always be with me. Why aren't you helping? Lethal venom slowly drips from the beast's fangs, falling toward Shijia's thigh. The toxic droplet inches closer before finally landing on his skin, burning and eating deep into his flesh. Shijia screams in pure agony. Out of nowhere, a spinning sword cuts through the air, heading straight toward them. The blade plunges deep into the phantom beast's eye, leaving Shijia completely dazed and confused. The beast thrashes in agony, flinging him aside. Shijia crashes near a tree root, trying to catch his breath, when a sharp voice rings out, "Hey, idiot, what are you just standing there for?" Blinded and enraged by the surprise attack, the beast roars with fury and charges right at him again. In a panic, Shijia calls out to his savior, "Ye Xiao Xiao." Ye Xiao grips the hilt of her sword, preparing to pull it out. She looks at the heavily sweating Shijia and yells, "Can you move your legs? Then run." Without a second thought, Shijia scrambles up and runs like the wind, leaving her behind to face the raging beast. Completely focused, Ye Xiao tightens her grip on the hilt and slowly twists the blade out of the serpent's eye. Dark blood spurts out instantly. Straddling the beast, she yanks the blade free with a cold look as blood splatters everywhere. She pushes off the beast's head and lands gracefully right next to Shijia. Startled, he asks, "Whoa, where did you even come from?" Ignoring his question, Ye Xiao coldly snaps, "Stop talking and run." He quickly nods, "Right, on it." As they sprint through the forest, Shijia pants out, "The thanks. But I think we really ticked it off." Knowing they can't run forever, Ye Xiao reveals her strategy. "My master always said, anger blinds the mind and reveals weaknesses. You distract it, and I'll do the rest." Shijia objects in disbelief. "What? How am I supposed to distract a giant snake?" Instead of answering, she immediately darts away, leaving him entirely on his own. "Hey, wait!" Shijia skids to a halt and looks back. Seeing the beast tracking Ye Xiao's movement, he realizes it's targeting her. Having no other choice, he grabs a rock and hurls it at the phantom beast with all his might to get its attention. "Hey, stupid snake, look over here." Steam practically pours from the beast's nostrils while Shijia taunts, "Come on, bring it on." Pushed over the edge, the giant serpent opens its massive jaws and lunges at him. This is his chance. Readying his magic, he yells, "Ancient tome origin construction." Instantly, a massive shield of water forms around him, absorbing the impact of the serpent's strike. But the beast keeps pushing harder, forcing him to grit his teeth and hold on with everything he has got. He slowly backed away, growing weaker and weaker. Finally, unable to hold on any longer, he was about to fall backward when he cried out, "Ye Xiao, hurry!" Hearing this, Ye Xiao quickly clasped her hands and began to chant her spell, "Myriad manifestations, earthly aegis, earth spirit shackle." The moment she finished the chant, massive thorns erupted and wrapped around the phantom beast, coiling tightly around its body before violently squeezing its neck. The phantom beast let out a painful roar. Decisively preparing her ultimate move, she leaped from where she stood, charging toward the phantom beast as she slashed it repeatedly. Finally, she delivered the decisive finishing blow. Cross, slash. A massive explosion immediately erupted behind Ye Xiao as she walked away heroically without looking back. Shaka stared in utter shock. As Ye Xiao heroically sheathed her sword behind her back, he looked at that giant snake in disbelief. Was it really insta-killed? Suddenly, a glowing object emitted a brilliant light, leaving him utterly confused. He wondered, what is this? He got excited, thinking, could this be a drop reward for killing the boss? But right then, a throwing knife suddenly shot toward him. His face turned completely pale. Whoa! The throwing knife slammed straight into the tree, barely grazing his cheek. Still, he cried out in pain, "That hurts. Who's there?" A group of people watched him with sinister smirks. He quickly spotted them. Ren and his gang emerged from the bushes. "Well, if it isn't you again, and you even brought this C-rank trash along. Haha, no one can save you this time." He immediately revealed his true intentions, shouting, "Hand over the earth element totem." Furious, Ye Xiao reached for her sword, ready to fight them. "My master always said some people are just born, lacking decency and begging for a beating. Today, I'm certainly getting an eye-opener." Ren ordered his lackeys, "You're asking for death. Grab them." "Yes, boss." The lackeys quickly leaped in front of her, shouting, "Die!" But she remained completely unfazed, her gaze unshakably firm. Without skipping a beat, she took down the first guy and immediately lunged forward to strike the second. And just like that, she didn't spare the last one either. She calmly landed, standing tall in front of the guys sprawled all over the ground. Anyone else? Seeing this, they couldn't help but tremble in fear. Ren's hand slowly transformed into solid rock. Damn it, you wretched brat. He raised his massive stone arm and roared, "Taste my ultimate skill." Gigantic rock transformation. Without a moment's hesitation, Ye Xiao charged straight at him with her sword. The two charged at each other, as if a massive clash was about to happen, but she was a step faster, landing a clean slash right on him. He shrieked in agony. "Arg!" The remaining underling gasped in terror at his comrade's scream. My hand." Meanwhile, Shaka cheered wildly. "Great shot!" The underling took his anger out on him, punching the tree next to him with a smug, threatening look. "What? Die." Luckily, he managed to dodge to the side just in time. Since the guy punched with all his might, his fist was now completely stuck. "Damn it, I can't pull it out." Seizing the opportunity, Shaka picked up a wooden log with a devious smirk on his face. Ren now hung his head in front of her blade, panting heavily. She stood tall, pointing her sword right at him. "No one can save you this time." She then interrogated him. "Have you been following me all along?" He struggled to defend himself. "No, we weren't. We just wanted to find the Earth Phantom Beast. We planned to wait until it swallowed that kid before jumping it." Before he could finish, Shaka popped out of the bushes, absolutely shocked. "You guys actually wanted to use me as bait for the Earth Element boss?" Ye Xiao cut them off, raising the element totem in her hand. "Second question, what is this totem?" He mustered all his remaining strength to stand up, explaining, "Killing a phantom beast of the same element as yourself rewards you with an elemental totem fragment." An image of 4 glowing elements converging appeared. Anyone who collects all 4 types of element totems can leave the Black Forest and pass the exam. Hearing this, Shaka rubbed his chin, deeply analyzing the situation. Each person only has 1 element, so, to gather all 4 types of totems, everyone is forced to rob each other. Ren suddenly sneered, looking down on him with utter contempt. Out of 100 people, only 100 can stay on Evernight Island. So, a piece of trash like you absolutely doesn't deserve to walk out of here alive. His words hit Shaka like a bolt from the blue. Huh? The two kept bickering back and forth, leaving Ye Xiao completely speechless. "Who are you calling trash, you sneaky bastard? A bottom-tier C-rank loser like you only deserves to rot in this forest, and you actually dream of qualifying for admission?" He gritted his teeth and cursed. "Damn it, what does my C-rank have to do with you anyway? What makes you think you can look down on C-ranks?" Just then, a cold voice suddenly cuts in. "Simply because useless trash doesn't deserve to be here. They are just a waste of Evernight Island's resources." At this, the group finally reacts and quickly whips their heads around. Who's there? In an instant, the entire forest becomes eerily quiet. Then, 2 rows of bodyguards step aside to make way for Edward Jossman. Ye Xiao frowns as she sees him. It's him. She gasps his name, Edward. He calmly walks over and stops right in front of Ren, who is kneeling on the ground. Ren stammers, "Yo, young master." Edward looks down at him, his face icy cold. "Ren, you have failed." Ren falls to his knees and begs, "Please give me another chance. I beg of you, please." Edward opens his palm in front of him and says, "I am very disappointed in you." He unleashes his magic, driving Ren into utter despair. No. The sheer force of his power radiates outward, shocking Tika and Ye Xiao. They scream in panic. "It's a water element attack. Watch out, get out of the way." Edward scowls. Over here, everyone covers their eyes from the blinding flash of light. Thick dust and smoke fill the air, causing them to cover their ears and cough uncontrollably. By now, Ren has been completely frozen into an ice statue. Without a shred of mercy, Edward lets him tip over and shatter into hundreds of pieces. He turns around with an annoyed look. Shocked by his cold-blooded actions, Tika and Ye Xiao can't help but curse under their breath. "That bastard!" Seeing this, Tika confronts Edward, demanding, You killed him? Why would you do that?" He coldly replies. His mission was to gather 10 totems and eliminate the C-rank trash. Since he couldn't even do that, he is utterly useless. Hearing this, Tika is horrified. "But this is just a competition. You actually killed someone over a competition?" This question makes Edward freeze for a moment, but then he suddenly bursts into laughter. Ha ha ha. He looks at Tika with a twisted, mocking smile. Ha! The Spirit Energy Tournament is a ruthless place. Here, people only submit to the truly strong,